Chapter 409. My young friend Yixing, since you do not wish for me to follow you, I won't be following you. If you have any difficulties, you can come to Nine Heavens City at any time to find me. The Fire Cloud sect sent 2 4-star perfected persons to pursue you, but they were killed by Lord Supremacy. The Fire Cloud sect will probably blame you for this. After I return to Nine Heavens City, I will settle the Fire Cloud sect's troubles. I will not let Yun Tianhao send anyone to disturb you again. Goodbye. Even He Biao addressed Yixing as his younger brother, so Wu did not dare act like a senior in front of Yixing. He bade farewell to Yixing by referring to himself as a senior. After Wu Yu left, Yixing quickly chased up to the silver-winged demonic condor. He sat on the condor's back with Lin Tongyu as they continued their journey back to the Azure Cloud region. After confirming that no one was following him, Yixing sat on the condor's back with his eyes closed as he cultivated the Eye of Azure Cloud. With the silver-winged demonic condor's speed, it would take about 10 days to return to the southern part of the Azure Cloud region. To Yixing, every second was precious. His cultivation level increased very quickly, so if he wanted to keep up with his cultivation in other aspects, he had to make the best use of his time to cultivate. It was very stable on the condor's back. Furthermore, with the silver-winged demonic condor's warning, Yixing did not need to constantly pay attention to his surroundings after he left Nine Heaven City. Yixing cultivated with his eyes closed. As for Lin Tongyu, she quietly looked at Yixing in a daze. At that moment, be it sitting or standing, any posture of Yixing was the most beautiful scenery in the world in Lin Tongyu's eyes. After Wu Yu returned to Nine Heaven City, he immediately issued a warning to the Fire Cloud sect's Yun Tianhao. At the same time, Wu Yu announced to the world that Yixing was his sworn friend. The Meteor sect was the Heavenly Dipper sect's ally. Whoever dared touch a hair on Yixing or the Meteor sect would be his mortal enemy. Esteemed Master Wu Yu's public declaration and unyielding attitude had set off a great storm in the martial world of the true Xian domain. All the martial artists were puzzled as to why esteemed Master Wu Yu would help Yixing. Although Yixing had performed very well in the Young Hero Assembly, Wu Yu's performance was too excessive. However, Wu Yu's attitude was unyielding. He was like an angry bull, ready to fight to the death at any time. Even if the others didn't understand, they didn't dare to provoke Wu Yu. Damn it! Damn it! After being warned by Wu Yu, Yun Tianhao was furious. Although the 2 4-stars perfected ones were not considered important figures in the Fire Cloud sect, they were still outer sect elders. Furthermore, they had received his orders to pursue Yixing. Yet, they had been killed just like that. The 2 Fire Cloud sect outer sect elders had been killed. Logically speaking, the Fire Cloud sect should be furious. However, esteemed Master Wu Yu had warned him that if he dared do anything to Yixing, he would take his life with his own hands. Yun Tianhao was completely helpless against esteemed Master Wu Yu's overbearing attitude. He could only rage in secret. Then, the Fire Cloud sect's esteemed elders would negotiate with esteemed Master Wu Yu. Yun Tianhao was not qualified to speak to esteemed Master Wu Yu as an equal. In the end, the Fire Cloud sect's esteemed elders were also rebuffed by esteemed Master Wu Yu. Esteemed Master Wu Yu was under the orders of the Supremacy to protect Yixing. Although he couldn't stay by Yixing's side to protect Yixing, he couldn't do nothing as a Dao protector. With the Supremacy backing him, esteemed Master Wu Yu's attitude was naturally unyielding. If the Fire Cloud sect wanted to seek justice for the 2 4-star perfected persons, they would have to fight with esteemed Master Wu Yu. Esteemed Master Wu Yu was one of the Grand Elders of the Heavenly Dipper sect. Once they fought, it would definitely be a battle between the 2 sections. And in a battle between sects, the deaths wouldn't be limited to just 2 4-star perfected persons. Apart from esteemed masters at the high level of the Astral Dipper realm, who were relatively safe in a battle between sects and were difficult to kill, all perfected persons below esteemed masters were at risk of dying if they participated in the battle. How could the Fire Cloud sect go to war with the Heavenly Dipper sect over 2 4-star perfected persons' outer sect elders? Faced with the unyielding esteemed Master Wu Yu, they could only swallow their anger and make concessions. Since they wanted to avoid a life-and-death battle with esteemed Master Wu Yu, The Fire Cloud sect naturally didn't dare to do anything to Yixing. Even the Fire Cloud sect didn't dare to do anything to Yixing. Even if the Earth Fiend sect hated Yixing to death, they naturally wouldn't dare. However, even if they didn't dare, they were still indignant. Since they were indignant, they definitely wouldn't let the matter rest. This was especially so for Yun Tianhao. He was extremely proud and couldn't take this lying down. On this day, Yun Tianhao arrived at the Earth Fiend sect. He was a 4-star perfected persons and a disciple of the Fire Cloud sect. He had an illustrious status. The Earth Fiend sect's sect master, Chao Yanting, personally received him and respectfully welcomed him in. After taking a seat in the guest hall, Yun Tianhao went straight to the point and explained his intentions. Sect Master Chao, your sect's genius disciple, Xianxia, has been crippled by Yixing. This has caused your sect to lose a genius that could become an esteemed master in the future. Is your sect going to let this matter rest? Before Chao Yanting could say anything, the vice sect master, Shi Daotian, spoke with hatred. That little bastard caused my son to be in such a miserable state. How can we let this matter rest? However, with esteemed Master Wu Yu backing him, even if we are indignant, there's nothing we can do. Because of Xianxia, the vice sect master Shi Daotian's influence in the Earth Fiend sect was growing. His fame was gradually overshadowing sect master Chao Yanting's. Therefore, Xianxia's crippling was somewhat beneficial to Chao Yanting. However, in terms of the sect, it was a great loss. As the Earth Fiend sect's sect master, Chao Yanting was naturally indignant. He wanted to get rid of Yixing as soon as possible. Chao Yanting said, I heard that young Master Yun also lost 2 4-star perfected persons because of Yixing. I believe young Master Yun also wants to kill Yixing as soon as possible. I wonder what young Master Yun thinks? The corners of Yun Tianhao's mouth curled up slightly as he said, Yixing is under the protection of exalted Wu Yu. That old bastard is like an angry bull right now, and no one dares to provoke him. However, that's only limited to the martial artists of the true Xian domain. Martial artists from other domains might not take him seriously. Chao Yanting's eyes lit up. Young Master Yun, are you saying that we should invite people from other regions? Yun Tianhao smiled and nodded. The Green Feather Domain has a powerful assassin organization called the 7 Kill Alliance. The 7 Kill Alliance has countless experts. They even dare to assassinate high-level astral realm esteemed masters. Yixing has just entered the astral realm. As long as we give the 7 Kill Alliance enough money, they will definitely send people to the true Xian domain to complete the mission. The 7 Kill Alliance was a top-notch 1-star faction in the Green Feather Domain. It was very far from the true Xian domain and rarely did business in the true Xian domain. However, as long as the benefits were enough, the 7 Kill Alliance, as an assassin organization, would definitely not reject a profitable business. The Earth Fiend sect was only a mid-grade 1-star sect. It was not even considered a first-rate faction in the true Xian domain. Even the Earth Fiend sect was unfamiliar with many places in the true Xian domain. Naturally, they had not come into contact with the factions in other regions. The Earth Fiend sect only knew that there was a 2-star faction, the Green Feather Empire, in the Green Feather Domain. This was the first time the 7 Kill Alliance had heard of it. As for the Fire Cloud sect, it was one of the top-notch factions in the true Xian domain. It had contact with the martial arts factions in other regions and naturally knew more about the Green Feather Domain. When Chao Yanting heard Yun Tianhao's words, his eyes lit up. However, he quickly regained his composure and said, since young Master Yun knows about the 7 Kill Alliance, why don't you send people there yourself? Yun Tianhao smiled faintly and said, my father strictly forbids me from doing anything to Yixing. I can't go there personally, but no one in the Fire Cloud sect dares to defy my father's orders and obey my orders. However, I believe that as long as there is a chance to kill Yixing, your sect will not miss it. As he spoke, Yun Tianhao waved his hand. Instantly, a pile of mid-grade star crystals appeared in front of him. He then said, the 7 Kill Alliance is not cheap. The price to hire the 7 Kill Alliance isn't low. These 20,000 mid-grade astral crystals are the reward for this young master. If your sect can add a little more, The 7-Kill Alliance will definitely be more than happy to accept this mission to earn tens of thousands of mid-grade astral crystals by killing a 1-star venerable. Shi Daotian stood up and said excitedly, "All right, I will personally head to the Green Feather Domain and ask the 7-Kill Alliance to kill that little bastard." Chao Yanting smiled and said, "Young Master Yun, just wait for the good news of that little bastard being killed." Yun Tianhao smiled and said goodbye to Chao Yanting before leaving the Earth Fiend sect. Green Cloud Region. After more than 10 days, Yi Xing and Lin Tongyu finally returned to the Green Cloud Mountain Range, which was near the Star Crystal Mine. In the past 10 days, Yi Xing had cultivated the supreme grade eyes of Green Cloud and comprehended the array formation knowledge left behind by Supremacy Green Cloud. He had made significant progress in both aspects. His Eye of Azure Cloud had successfully broken through to the entry level. The power of his Eye of Azure Cloud had greatly increased. Yi Xing was very confident that he could even control a Class 3 demonic beast that was equivalent to a 4-star enlightened being. As for array formation, Yi Xing had reached the level of a Level 3 array master. He could easily set up a relatively simple Level 3 array formation. Supremacy Green Cloud had left behind a lot of array formation knowledge. If Yi Xing could comprehend it all, he could at least reach the level of a Level 3 array grandmaster. In the following period of time, Yi Xing's array formation skills would rapidly increase. Lin Tongyu pointed at a large array formation light shield in front of them and said excitedly, "Junior brother Yi Xing, we've arrived at the Star Crystal Mine." Yi Xing's eyesight was far better than Lin Tongyu's. He had already noticed it and his face was filled with joy. This time, Yi Xing could help his master, Xianxia, heal his feet, rebuild then take revenge on his enemies. He was naturally overjoyed. Yi Xing activated his eyes of green cloud and looked into the distance. He saw through the array formation light shield and saw that everything was as usual. Soon, the silver-winged demonic eagle arrived outside the array formation light shield. Yi Xing activated his astral energy and shouted, "Master, Elder Gu, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back." His voice was like a wave that resounded between heaven and earth. After a while, everything returned to normal. Not long after, the array formation door opened and Xianxia and Gu Tianshang came out together. Their faces were filled with joy. Yi Xing was the hope of the future. Ever since Yi Xing left, the two of them had been on tenterhooks. Today, Yi Xing had finally returned. Of course, they were overjoyed. Gu Tianshang's joyful voice sounded, "Come in quickly." Chapter 410. When the silver-winged demonic eagle flew into the light shield, Xianxia and Gu Tianshang were both shocked and overjoyed. First, they were surprised that Yi Xing's mount was the silver-winged demonic eagle, which was equivalent to 3-star venerable. Second, they were surprised that there was Lin Tongyu on the back of the silver-winged demonic eagle. Lin Tongyu followed Yi Xing and jumped down from the back of the silver-winged demonic eagle, greeting Xianxia and Gu Tianshang. Xianxia's expression was astonished as he said, "Yi Xing, what's going on here?" Gu Tianshang was even more excited, appearing in front of Lin Tongyu in a flash, his voice trembling. "Tongyu, you're still alive, still alive." Gu Tianshang was obsessed with Array Dao his whole life, and the person he admired the most was his junior brother Lin Fenghua. Lin Fenghua was younger than him, but his attainments in Array Dao were higher than his. Naturally, Gu Tianshang was also very fond of Lin Fenghua's daughter, Lin Tongyu. Moreover, Gu Tianshang had no children and treated Lin Tongyu as his own. Gu Tianshang thought that Lin Tongyu had died in the sect like Lin Fenghua and Lin Shuyuan, so he was naturally excited to see her again. Lin Tongyu was affected by Gu Tianshang's emotions and was also a little excited. Moreover, when she saw Gu Tianshang, she thought of her dead father, grandfather, and other family members. Lin Tongyu nodded with tears in her eyes. "Uncle Gu, it was junior brother Yi Xing who saved me. In Nine Heavens City, junior brother Yi Xing also saved many disciples of our sect." "Really?" Xianxia was also excited, exclaiming at the same time as Gu Tianshang. Yi Xing nodded. "Yes, Master, Elder Gu, this disciple has many things to report. Let's find a place first." The Star Crystal Lode was the last stronghold of and there were many martial artists inside. Xianxia and Gu Tianshang had already brought some martial artists to welcome them, and their intense reaction attracted another group of martial artists, all of them looking over in surprise. Under the watchful eyes of so many people, it was obviously not a good place to talk. Good. Gu Tianshang said good 3 times in a row, which was enough to show the surprise in his heart. He said, "Come with me. We'll talk in the meeting room." When they arrived at the meeting hall, Yixing told them everything that had happened in Nine Heavens City. Xianxia and Gu Tianshang were shocked. In the Azure Cloud Mountain Range, he killed the Flying Cloud Sect's 2-star enlightened master Qiu Buohong and met the expert He Biao. He controlled the silver-winged demonic condor, a demonic beast equivalent to venerable 3-star, and rode it to Nine Heavens City, breaking through the astral realm and becoming a 1-star enlightened master. Defeat Mu Xiaoyue, take first place in the Young Hero Assembly, and become the first in the Earth Profound ranking. He was received by Wu Yu and refused to join Tiangang's sect. Kill Taoist 3 stars, destroy the Sun Moon sect's stronghold in Nine Heaven City, and rescue the Falling Star sect's disciples. He would compete with the Fire Cloud sect's Yun Tianhao to snatch Lin Tongyu back. The powerhouse He Biao that he met in the Azure Cloud Mountain Range was actually a venerable. He had asked Wu Yu to protect Yixing. After Yixing finished telling them everything, Xianxia and Gu Tianshang were dumbfounded. It was hard to imagine that Yixing had gone through so many shocking things in the 2 months that he had been away. For example, the first in the Earth Profound ranking, esteemed, and so on. They had nothing to do with even the martial Dao factions in the Azure Cloud region. Not to mention that Yixing had met a venerable who was a legend in the true Xian region. This was even more shocking. Of course, no one would have thought that He Biao could also be a king. After Yixing finished speaking, the scene was very quiet. Xianxia and Gu Tianshang only had shock in their eyes, and they were overjoyed. They looked at Yixing, not knowing what to say. After a few breaths, Xianxia reacted and said, "Yixing, there are 3 3-star venerables among the younger generation participating in the Young Hero Assembly, but you took first place. Does this mean that your strength has surpassed that of a 3-star venerable?" Yixing nodded and said, "Unless the opponent is also a genius that can challenge those of a higher level, I am not afraid of any 3-star venerable." Xianxia and Gu Tianshang's eyes lit up, blooming with the light of hope. Xianxia said excitedly, Good. The heavens have eyes. Now, the Dongfu sect's sect master, Watanabe Xiong, is presiding over the Dongfu sect. The Falling Star sect only has the Dongfu sect's grand elder, Watanabe Ten. Yixing, since you have such strength, you can take advantage of the time before Watanabe Xiong arrives. Kill Watanabe Tan and Watanabe Shu, reclaim the sect, and then use the array to resist Watanabe Xiong's counterattack. Yixing smiled indifferently, took out the rebirth pill and said, "Master, I won first place in the large competition and received the rebirth pill as a reward. With the rebirth pill, your legs will grow back after tonight. Tomorrow I will go back to the sect with you. I will deal with Watanabe Tan, and you will deal with Watanabe Shu personally." Yixing naturally understood that Watanabe Shu was the former wife of the sect master of the Hua Tianshu. Xianxia did not recognize her as a member of the Hua family, so Yixing naturally did not call her Hua Tianshu. Xianxia looked at the rebirth pill in Yixing's hand, and his breathing gradually quickened. His legs had been crippled for more than 10 years, and there was not a moment when he did not want to recover. This day had finally arrived. Thank you. Xianxia took the rebirth pill and had many things to say to Yixing, but in the end he only said a word of thanks. Gratitude did not come from words, but from sincerity. Xianxia's gratitude was full of sincerity. He still remembered when he took Yixing in as his disciple, he said that if Yixing could obtain some kind of treasure that could regenerate broken limbs in the future, he would have the chance to heal his legs. At that time, it was just a casual remark, and he did not expect Yixing to actually do it. Yixing's face revealed a faint smile and said, "If not for Master, how could I be where I am today? I would have died long ago." Compared to my life, the rebirth pill is nothing. The one who should say thanks is Yi Xing. It was Zi Shanho who taught Yi Xing the art of archery, letting Yi Xing know the profoundness of the art of archery. It was also Zi Shanho who explained the world of martial arts to him, letting him know how vast the star continent was. When the Dongfu nation's army invaded, it was Zi Shanho who saved Yi Xing's life. Otherwise, Yi Xing and Wei Qingxian would not have been able to escape Dong Xianying's pursuit. In other people's eyes, the rebirth pill might be incomparably precious, a priceless treasure. But in Yi Xing's eyes, a rebirth pill was far from comparable to the kindness his master, Zi Shanho, had shown him. Zi Shanho took a deep breath and heavily patted Yi Xing's shoulder twice, and said, "The best thing I've done in my life was to take you in as my disciple. Yi Xing, with your talent, no one can stop you from becoming outstanding. To be able to take you in as my disciple is the greatest fortune of my life." Haha. Gu Tianshang laughed happily at the side and said, "Tianfeng, I have to say that you have a good eye. Back then, I also wanted to take Yi Xing in as a formation disciple. Unfortunately, his talent is too high, and I know that I can't teach him anything. Yi Xing being your disciple is your greatest fortune. Yi Xing being a disciple of the Falling Star sect is also Falling Star sect's greatest fortune. It's a pity that Junior Brother Lin can't see this. If Junior Brother Lin knew that Yi Xing was so promising, I wonder how happy he would be." Speaking of Lin Fenghua, Gu Tianshang's smile faded, and his voice became melancholy. Lin Tongyu said, "Father's spirit in heaven must be able to see Junior Brother Yi Xing's current achievements. He will be smiling in the underworld." Gu Tianshang nodded and said, Yes, Junior Brother Lin will see it. Yi Xing, your cultivation has advanced by leaps and bounds. I wonder how your formation skills are now. Your talent is heaven-defying, so don't waste the knowledge that Junior Brother Lin taught you." Yi Xing nodded and said, "I can already arrange third-level formations." Gu Tianshang's expression froze, and he was shocked again. He had studied formations his whole life, and finally, because of the great shock of his sect's destruction, he broke through the bottleneck and became a third-level formation master in one fell swoop. Yi Xing was only 18 years old and he had only studied formations for a little more than a year, but he could already arrange third-level formations. This was much faster than Lin Fenghua in the past. Gu Tianshang looked at Yi Xing, and after a long while he slowly said, "Monster. You really are a monster." Zi Shanho went back to take the resurrection elixir, and Yi Xing continued to talk with Gu Tianshang, learning more about the situation of the star crystal vein. After 3 months of mining, the Falling Star sect had obtained more than 1 million mid-grade star crystals, and more than 10 million low-grade star crystals. According to the calculations of professional mine masters, only half of the mid-grade star crystal vein had been mined. In other words, there were still more than 1 million mid-grade star crystals. More than 2 million mid-grade star crystals was a huge amount of wealth. Many one-star sects couldn't even compare to it. As long as they finished mining the mid-grade star crystal vein, the Falling Star sect would become one of the richest one-star sects, which would be of great help to the development of the Falling Star sect. Now that Yi Xing was the sect master of the Yi Xing returned, Gu Tianshang handed the star crystal resources to Yi Xing to manage. 1 million mid-grade star crystals piled up together was bigger than a house, but Yi Xing had a mid-grade storage ring, so he could store them. As for the tens of millions of low-grade star crystals, they were piled up like a mountain, so he could only store them in the underground cave. Unless he had a high-grade storage ring, he wouldn't be able to store so many things. After inspecting the star crystals, Yi Xing saw that it was still early, so he left the star crystal vein. Since the Falling Star sect was destroyed, the once glorious Ye family must have had a hard time. Yi Xing still had time today, so he went to Purple Mountain County's Azure Sky City to visit the Ye family. Purple Mountain County's Azure Sky City. Today was a lively day. Xiong Qixing, the new head of the Xiong family, one of the 3 great families in Azure Sky City, was marrying Yi Yundai and Yi Yunwan, the 2 daughters of the Ye family, as his concubines. This might be a trivial matter in the Falling Star country, but in Azure Sky City, it was a big event that everyone knew about. Even many martial arts families in Purple Mountain County knew about it and came to congratulate them. Chapter 411. Because of Yi Xing, the Ye family was protected by the Zishan Marquis residents and developed rapidly. They had once become the top martial arts family in Celestial Ocean City. In the family, there were many level 7 martial Dao masters, and some of them had even reached level 8 martial Dao master. However, since the Falling Star sect was destroyed and Zishan Marquis fled to the Star Crystal Mine, the Ye family lost their backing. Moreover, because of Yi Xing, the Ye family was disliked by the new ruler, the East Fu sect. Although the East Fu sect did not care about the small Ye family, since the Ye family was disliked by the East Fu sect, there were naturally many martial arts families who were willing to step on the Ye family. The Ye family's strength was second to none in Celestial Ocean City, but the Ye family knew that they were in a bad situation, so they had always been cautious and kept a low profile. If there were any conflicts with other martial arts families, they would do their best to compromise. Because of this cautious attitude, the Ye family had always survived in a dangerous environment. However, there were some changes in the Zishan County recently, which put the Ye family in a difficult situation. Just half a month ago, the Zishan Marquis position that had been vacant for 2 months was finally filled. Now that the Falling Star Kingdom was under the control of the East Fu sect, the new Zishan Marquis naturally listened to the orders of the East Fu sect. This new Zishan Marquis happened to have some conflicts with Yi Xing. This was because the new Zishan Marquis' surname was Qi Jingyang, and he was once a core disciple of the Falling Star sect. His father, Qi Doxing, grandfather, Qi Jingqiao, and great-grandfather, Qi Zhantian, were all loyal warriors who had died in the battle with the Dongfu sect. However, Qi Jingyang did not inherit the loyalty of his ancestors. Instead, he became a traitor and surrendered to the Dongfu sect. The East Fu sect wanted to use the Falling Star sect's system to manage the Falling Star Kingdom. They needed some martial artists who belonged to the Falling Star sect to manage the kingdom, and they gave important tasks to those who surrendered. Qi Jingyang's ancestors were famous for being loyal warriors who were sworn enemies with the East Fu sect. However, the East Fu sect promoted Qi Jingyang as a role model for those who surrendered. Therefore, when Qi Jingyang broke through to level 7 and became a 7-star martial saint, he was given the title of Zishan Marquis by Watanabe Shu, who was temporarily in charge of the Zishan County. Furthermore, they sent Wang Feng, the disciple of Zishan Marquis, who had also surrendered, as the head steward of the Marquis residence to assist. Wang Feng was now a 3-star martial saint. When he returned to the Zishan County, the Wang clan became the #1 martial arts clan in the Zishan County. Wang's head. Wang's Wang family and Wang's Wangs. Wang's Wang was benefited Wang's. Was Marquis sect? Yes. Maru Mara Marmaru was Marmar Mars. Had Marmar In Celestial Azure City, the strongest martial artist was level 8 martial saint. Xianxia became a level 9 martial saint. If the Falling Star sect was still around with Yi Xing's light, Xianxia becoming a level 9 martial saint would not be worth mentioning. However, now that the Falling Star sect was destroyed and Yi Xing was rumored to be dead, Xianxia naturally became the strongest martial artist in Celestial Azure City. Xianxia returned to Celestial Azure City and took over the position of patriarch of the Xiong family. The first thing Xianxia did after becoming the patriarch of the Xiong family was to go to the Ye family and vent his hatred for Yi Xing on the Ye family. He killed several elders of the Ye family. The entire upper echelon of the Ye family, including 7-star and 8-star martial saints, were all severely injured by Xianxia. Furthermore, Xianxia captured the 2 beauties of the Ye family, Yi Yundai and Yi Yunwan. He announced to the world that he was going to take them as his concubines. Xianxia sent out invitations to all the martial arts families in Celestial Azure City. He also invited Wang Feng, a 3-star martial saint, to preside over the situation and be a witness. Wang Feng knew that Xianxia was the illegitimate son of his uncle, Wang Haiqing. Furthermore, because of his hatred for Yixing, he was also happy to come to Celestial Azure City and trample on the Ye family. Naturally, he agreed. However, when Wang Feng reported this matter to the new Purple Mountain Marquis, Qi Jingyang, as a marquis, actually dared to take the initiative to come to Celestial Azure City and preside over the ceremony. Qi Jingyang's hatred for Yixing was much stronger than Wang Feng's. Even though Qi Jingyang believed that Yixing was dead, his hatred for Yixing had always existed. After knowing that the Ye family of Celestial Azure City was the Ye family's clan, Qi Jingyang did not care about bearing. As a 7-star martial saint who held the position of Purple Mountain Marquis, he had the thought of exterminating the Ye family. He wanted to first watch the Yi clan decline, then slowly exterminate the Yi clan, until there was not a single person left in the Yi clan, and they were erased from the world. When Yixing arrived at the Ye family, the upper echelons of the Ye family were nowhere to be seen. Furthermore, there were many experts standing guard outside the Ye family. From a deacon of the Ye family, Yixing found out about the changes in Purple Mountain County and what had happened to the Ye family. Instantly, his heart burned with rage. Qi Jingyang, Wang Feng, Wang Haiqing, Xianxia, these were all once Yixing's enemies. Yixing was magnanimous and spared them. However, reality proved that forgiveness did not make them grateful. It would only cause trouble. Once something happened to him, the people around him would be harmed. Yixing's heart surged with killing intent as he headed for the Xiong family. Today, the Xiong family's patriarch, Xianxia, was marrying a concubine. They held a grand banquet, singing and dancing in celebration. Most of the guests were 7th-level grandmasters and above. Many of them were 8th-level grandmasters and even 9th-level grandmasters. They were all experts from the top martial arts families in Purple Mountain County. The newly appointed Purple Mountain Marquis, Qi Jingyang, sat high up in the main seat. Wang Feng, the chief steward of the Marquis residence, sat below Qi Jingyang. Beside Wang Feng was Wang Haiqing. Wang Haiqing naturally had to attend the wedding of an illegitimate son. The Xiong family was filled with guests. Even the square outside the main hall was filled with hundreds of tables of banquets. The grandeur of this banquet far surpassed any banquet in the history of Tiansong City. However, on this joyous occasion, not everyone was treated kindly by the Xiong clan. On the side of the square, there were dozens of wooden stakes. The upper echelons of the Yi clan were all tied to the wooden stakes with blood on the corners of their mouths. They were battered and exhausted. Beside each wooden stake stood a Xiong family martial practitioner. They held large sabers and glared at the Ye family from the side. Their eyes were fierce, as if they were going to execute these Ye family martial practitioners at any time. Xianxia grabbed Yiyundai and Yiyunwan, who were dressed in red robes, and toasted the guests. Seeing Yiyundai and Yiyunjuan's eyes filled with grief and indignation, Xianxia said coldly, "Bitches, be happy for me. Smile. Otherwise, I'll give the order and your Ye family's pigs and dogs will have their heads cut off one by one." In the sky, a green light flashed. It was Yixing. He had rushed to the Xiong family as fast as he could and had even used the supreme grade flying spirit artifact, the Azure Cloud Wings. Yixing's speed was too fast. Even martial sages could not see him clearly. Furthermore, none of the martial practitioners on the square were martial sages. How could they notice the green light that flashed in the sky? It was only when Yixing appeared on the square and folded the Azure Cloud Wings that the martial practitioners noticed that there was an additional person. When Yixing appeared, he did not release the aura of his astral realm cultivation. Just the terrifying murderous intent that surged out caused all the martial practitioners on the square to shiver. They all looked at Yixing. None of the guests on the square recognized Yixing. However, Xianxia was an exception. When he saw Yixing, his body trembled violently, and his mind buzzed. What was going on? Wasn't Yixing dead? Wasn't he dead? Xianxia looked at Yixing and his arrogant expression instantly turned into fear. He knew how amazing Yixing's performance in the Falling Star sect was. Although Xianxia did not know what happened after Yixing went to the Azure Cloud Ancient Land, He knew that Yi Xing was already the #1 disciple of the Falling Star sect before he went there. Yi Xing's gaze fell on Xianxia and he said coldly, "Xianxia, Xiang family, you are courting death." Xianxia pointed at Yi Xing and said in a trembling voice, "Impossible. This is impossible. Aren't you dead? How can you still be alive? How can—" Besides Xianxia, Yi Yundai and Yi Yunwan were overjoyed when they saw Yi Xing. They exclaimed at the same time, "Yi Xing, save them!" Xianxia immediately grabbed Yi Yundi's and Yi Yunjuan's necks and blocked the two girls in front of him. He shouted, "Yi Xing, if you dare to move, I will kill them. Marty, brother Wang Feng, help, help." After Xianxia shouted, the Xiong family martial artists beside the wooden stakes also placed their swords on the necks of the Ye family martial artists. Yi Xing's name was well known in the Azure Cloud City. Only by controlling the life and death of the Ye family martial artists could everyone feel a sense of security. Yi Xing's gaze swept across Xianxia and the Xiong family martial artists. Two green vortexes appeared in his eyes. In the next moment, a strange scene occurred. The Xiong family martial artists who placed their swords on the necks of the Ye family martial artists raised their swords and cut off the ropes binding the Ye family martial artists. Then, they fiercely chopped off their own heads. Instantly, a large number of heads rolled down. Dozens of Xiong family martial artists became headless corpses. Blood spurted out wildly as they fell to the ground. Yi Xing's eyes of green cloud could even affect a perfected person in the astral realm. It could directly control a martial sage in the astral vortex realm. The Xiong family martial artists were only in the astral tempering realm. Yi Xing could easily control dozens of them at the same time with a single glance. Xianxia was also controlled by the eyes of green cloud. He released Yi Yundai and Yi Yunwan, took out a dagger, and stabbed himself in the heart. Ah! The intense pain immediately awakened Xianxia from the state of mind control. He let out a shrill scream. Xianxia looked at his hands that were holding the dagger in disbelief. The dagger had already pierced his heart, causing a fatal injury. He could feel his life slipping away rapidly. "No! No! I don't want to die!" Xianxia's hands let go of the dagger. He could not stop trembling. His eyes were filled with the fear of death and disbelief. He had finally become a level 9 Grandmaster and the head of the Xiong family. Today was supposed to be his most glorious day. Who would have thought that it would be the day of his death? Chapter 412. The cultivators in the plaza all had shocked expressions. They felt like their hearts were being ruthlessly grasped by a large hand, causing them to tremble in fear. This was too strange. Yi Xing did not even move. Xianxia and the dozens of Xiong family warriors had all committed suicide. It was unbelievable. The Eyes of Blue Cloud was an ultimate spiritual martial art. It was a unique skill of the Blue Cloud sect that had been lost for more than 1,000 years. Even a martial saint might not recognize this unique skill. The people present were all country bumpkins who rarely saw a martial saint. How would they know about the Eyes of Blue Cloud? Therefore, when they saw the two blue whirlpools flash in Yi Xing's eyes and Xianxia and the dozens of Xiong family warriors commit suicide, the guests looked as if they had seen a ghost. How could they not be shocked? Xianxia suddenly stabbed himself and the Xiong family warriors chopped off their own heads. This strange scene shocked the Ye family warriors. However, they were only shocked by Yi Xing's ability. They were not as scared of Yi Xing as the other warriors. When Yi Yundai and Yi Yunwan saw that Xianxia had died, they quickly ran towards Yi Xing. The Ye family warriors also gathered around Yi Xing. They looked very surprised. In the Ye family, Yi Xing was a legend. The Ye family's prosperity was closely related to Yi Xing. Yi Xing was still alive, which meant that the Ye family's future would be prosperous again. Brother Xing. Yi Feng was also among the imprisoned Ye family warriors. He shouted in surprise and waved at Yi Xing. Yi Feng was already an 8-star Grandmaster. Other than Yi Xing, Yi Feng was the strongest warrior in the Ye family. Of course, he belonged to the upper echelon of the Ye family. Yi Xing smiled and nodded at Yi Feng. At this moment, The guests in the hall had already rushed out. Qi Jingyang and Wang Feng led the way, while the half-martial sacred Wang Haiqing followed closely behind. They had just heard Xiong Qixing's cries for help. The two cries for help were the clearest, and Xiong Qixing's was the loudest. As for the two words, Yixing, Xiong Qixing was the first to shout out, and his voice was at its lowest pitch. Qi Jingyang and Wang Feng seemed to have vaguely heard the two words, Yixing, and both of them looked surprised. Wasn't Yixing dead? It was precisely because the two of them thought that Yixing was dead that they rushed out without much thought. When Qi Jingyang and Wang Feng rushed out of the hall and arrived at the square, they saw Yixing, just like Xiong Qixing. Their bodies shook violently and their faces were filled with shock. They did not hear wrongly. Xiong Qixing was shouting for Yixing. Yixing was still alive. Qi Jingyang and Wang Feng's eyes were instantly filled with fear. Especially Qi Jingyang, who had entered the Qingyun ancient land with Yixing and participated in the 10-sect grand tournament. He knew how terrifying Yixing's strength was. During the 10-sect grand tournament, Yixing's strength had already swept away 9-star martial saints. Now that 3 months had passed, wouldn't he be even more powerful? Although Qi Jingyang had broken through to the 7-star vortex realm and was conferred the title of Marquis, when he saw Yixing, he was like a mouse seeing a cat. Senior brother Yixing. Qi Jingyang's heart was pounding. He wanted to turn around and run, but he knew how fast Yixing was. Under Yixing's hands, there was no hope of escaping. He could only suppress the fear in his heart and force a smile at Yixing. Yixing looked at Qi Jingyang with disgust and said, "You traitor of the, are you qualified to call me senior brother? My senior brothers are all disciples of the Falling Star sect. There is no traitor like you." Qi Jingyang's face stiffened. He wanted to say something, but Yixing had already sentenced him to death. After you surrendered to the Dongfu sect, if you had behaved yourself, although I hate you, I would not have bothered to lower myself to your level. But you just had to bully the Ye family. You are seeking your own death. Qi Jingyang suddenly looked terrified. He cupped his fists and begged for mercy. "Senior brother, spare my life, spare my life." Most warriors did not know how strong Yixing was, but they all knew that Zishanho was not only a martial saint, but also a royal martial saint. His strength was unbelievably strong. However, this Zishanho did not even have the courage to attack Yixing. He only dared to beg for mercy. This really shocked these country bumpkin warriors. Yixing was unmoved. He began to use the azure cloud eyes. Qi Jingyang still begged for mercy. "Senior brother, please, for the sake of my Qi family ancestors." Before Qi Jingyang could finish, 2 clouds appeared in Yixing's eyes. Qi Jingyang's eyes suddenly lost their light. He seemed to be in a daze and stopped talking. Qi Jingyang was only a 7-star martial saint, and Yixing had used the cloud pupil eye to easily control his mind. Azure cloud eyes, this is cloud eyes. Wang Feng looked at Yixing's eyes and exclaimed. As a martial saint and a disciple of his knowledge was naturally incomparable to that of ordinary warriors. Wang Feng knew that the azure cloud eyes were divided into azure eyes and cloud eyes. Yixing used the cloud eyes, which meant that Yixing had received the complete inheritance of the azure cloud eyes. The complete azure cloud eyes was an extreme grade spiritual martial art. This made Wang Feng's heart beat rapidly. When Qi Jingyang turned to look at Wang Feng expressionlessly, Wang Feng was even more frightened. He also begged Yixing for mercy. "Senior brother Yixing, I had no choice but to surrender. I only have master in my heart. Please don't kill me. For master's sake, please don't kill me." Yixing snorted and said, "Master did his best to cultivate you, but you chose to become Watanabe Shu's lackey. Don't think that I don't know. Before the Falling Star sect was destroyed, you were already Watanabe Shu's lackey. How dare you mention master in front of me?" As he spoke, Qi Jingyang suddenly attacked. A middle-grade spiritual saber suddenly appeared and slashed at Wang Feng in an extremely overbearing manner. The saber slashed like a dragon. The aura was dazzling and the power was shocking. Middle-grade spiritual martial art, Big Dipper dragon slaying saber. How could a 3-star martial saint resist a 7-star martial saint's full strength? Wang Feng was cut down by Qi Jingyang's saber. Whoosh! Qi Jingyang struck out with his saber, followed by a second saber strike. Wang Haiqing first saw his dead illegitimate son. Then he saw his nephew die in front of him. He was in pain and was also killed by Qi Jingyang. Marty. Seeing Qi Jingyang go crazy, the martial artists all retreated. Those who were closer to Qi Jingyang were the upper echelons of the Xiong family. Qi Jingyang continuously slashed out with his saber. The saber radiance crisscrossed. In an instant, more than 10 of the Xiong family's upper echelons were killed by Qi Jingyang, including the previous head of the Xiong family, Xiong Baolong. The last saber slashed fiercely at Qi Jingyang. The moment the saber radiance entered his body, Qi Jingyang regained his consciousness due to the fear of death. He watched as the saber killed him and he died. The new Marquis Zishan, Martial Saint Wang Feng, Vice Principal Wang Haiqing of the Zishan Academy, and the upper echelons of the Xiong family were all killed. The guests were frightened out of their wits. They screamed and fled, rolling and crawling. Today's events would be deeply imprinted in their hearts. In the future, they would no longer dare to look down on or trample on the Ye family. There would only be awe and fear. Yi Xing's help to the Ye family was limited to this. The upper echelons of the Xiong family had been wiped out. Yi Xing did not care if the Ye family would uproot the Xiong family in the future. This was the Ye family's business and had nothing to do with him. The only thing he cared about was that the Ye family could develop well, and this was not a problem. Tomorrow he would return to the sect and rebuild the Falling Star sect. With the Ye family would not be in danger. After chatting with Yi Feng and other acquaintances for a while, Yi Xing did not return to the Ye family. Instead, he left and returned to the Star Crystal Mine. The next day, the final day, had finally arrived. In the morning, when Yi Xing saw his master Hua Tianfeng, his heart was filled with joy. The resurrection pill was indeed miraculous. In one night, Hua Tianfeng's legs grew back and returned to normal. From now on, Hua Tianfeng did not need to rely on the artificial legs to move. Yi Xing chuckled and said, "Master, congratulations on the recovery of your legs." Hua Tianfeng smiled and nodded. Compared to the past, Hua Tianfeng was in high spirits today. He was full of vitality. His broken legs had been healed. Whether it was physically or mentally, Hua Tianfeng's temperament had undergone a huge change. Hua Tianfeng waved to Yi Xing and said, "Yi Xing, let's go. It's time to fight back against the Dong Fu sect." Yi Xing summoned the silver-winged demonic condor and jumped on its back with Hua Tianfeng. In an instant, the silver-winged demonic condor soared into the sky. The Star Crystal Mine was guarded by Gu Tiansheng. As for Lin Tongyu, she was only a 6-star martial saint. She had no real use in taking back the sect. Today, there would be a decisive battle. Yi Xing and Hua Tianfeng naturally could not be distracted by taking care of her. Therefore, only Yi Xing and Hua Tianfeng went. The silver-winged demonic condor was extremely fast. In less than half a day, it had arrived outside the Falling Star sect. Yi Xing was the fastest among the cultivators who went to the Nine Heavens City. Because the silver-winged demonic condor's speed was faster than the other cultivators' flying mounts, Yi Xing's deeds in the Nine Heavens City had not spread to the Clear Sky region. As for Yi Xing's return, no one knew. Even though Yi Xing had appeared in the Azure Sky City yesterday afternoon, the Azure Sky City was at the border of the Falling Star Kingdom. In just one night, the news could not be sent back to the sect. Therefore, the Dong Fu sect cultivators guarding the Falling Star sect did not know that Yi Xing had returned. Many people even thought that Yi Xing was dead. Although the Flying Cloud sect said that Yi Xing was not dead, this was only a suspicion. There was no proof. The first thing Yi Xing did when he arrived outside the Falling Star sect was to break the array. The array that the Dong Fu sect had set up at the old site of the Falling Star sect was based on the original array of the Falling Star sect. Many of the original arrays of the Falling Star sect were set up by Lin Fenghua. As Lin Fenghua's disciple, Yi Xing was very familiar with them. Moreover, Yi Xing's X-ray vision and superbrain scan allowed him to easily find the strength and weakness of the array. To Yi Xing, The array formation that the Dongfu sect had set up on top of the original array of the Falling Star sect was nothing more than an empty shell. By the time someone discovered that Yi Xing and Hua Tianfeng had arrived, the array formation had already been mostly broken by Yi Xing. At the final point, Yi Xing had taken out the black dragon spear and forcefully broken it open. Chapter 4:13. Boom. The light shield of the formation was shattered. The sound of the spear shook the sky. Enemy invasion. The sentry who discovered Yi Xing and Hua Tianfeng shouted. There was no need for the sentry to call the police. All the martial artists in the sect had heard the explosion. Du Biantan, Li Hanguang, and the other astral realm perfected masters rushed out of their residences. They formed astral wings and flew into the sky. The other 3 perfected masters were the elders of the Dongfu sect. One was a 2-star perfected master, Dong Xuanhe, and the other 2 were 1-star perfected masters, Shifengyi and Luchuanzu. The 7 perfected masters glided in the sky and soon arrived in front of Yi Xing and Hua Tianfeng, stopping them. In addition, there were a large number of marquis martial sages and half-step perfected masters rushing over. After a short while, there was a snake hiss. A huge 4-winged flying snake flew out from the back of the mountain. This was the flying mount that Du Biantan had used to take the disciples of the Dongfu sect to the Qingyun ancient land. It was equivalent to a 3-star perfected master. Seeing Yi Xing's figure, the perfected masters were shocked. They had not reached a conclusion about Yi Xing's life and death. However, now that Yi Xing had appeared in front of them, the result was clear. Among the 7 perfected masters, only Du Biantan noticed Hua Tianfeng. She was shocked to see that Hua Tianfeng's legs were intact. She had personally cut off Hua Tianfeng's legs. For more than 10 years, Hua Tianfeng had been walking with prosthetic legs. When did his legs grow back? If one wanted to regrow a severed limb, one would need a supreme healing elixir. Where did Hua Tianfeng get the supreme healing elixir? Du Biantan looked at Yi Xing, his eyes full of gloomy coldness, and laughed. Little bastard, the Flying Cloud sect was right. You're not dead. However, you're courting death today. Let's see how you can escape from my hands. A astral realm martial artist's aura would not leak out. It was difficult for outsiders to see their cultivation. Du Biantan could not see Yi Xing's cultivation. 3 months ago, Yi Xing was only an 8-star martial sage. Du Biantan naturally did not think that Yi Xing had broken through to the astral realm. As for Hua Tianfeng, he was only a 9-star martial saint. He was not worth mentioning. On Yi Xing's side, the only thing that Du Biantan paid attention to was the silver-winged devil condor, which was equivalent to Taoist 3 stars. As for Du Biantan's side, he was a 3 stars reverend. In addition, there were 6 astral realm reverends. Moreover, there was a demonic beast equivalent to a 3 stars reverend, the 4-winged flying snake. Naturally, Watanabe Lake did not put Yi Xing's strength in his eyes. He thought that Yi Xing was seeking his own death. However, Du Biantan did not let the 4-winged flying snake fly forward. Instead, he stayed behind to hold the line. Watanabe Tam remembered that Yi Xing had once made the 4-winged flying snake crazy. Yi Xing seemed to have some ability to control demons. This was the only thing that Watanabe Tam valued about Yi Xing. Yi Xing's gaze swept across the 7 reverends coldly. He did not hide the murderous intent in his eyes. Yi Xing said coldly, "When Dongfu sect destroyed me, did you ever think that one day, Dongfu sect would be wiped off the face of the earth?" Du Biantan was unmoved. He still had a smile on his face as he said disdainfully, "Dongfu sect will not have such a day. Boy, if you have any last words, say them now. Otherwise, you will never have the chance to say them." Yi Xing narrowed his eyes and said, "You are wrong. Dongfu sect's day will come soon. Today is the day you all die. In 3 days I will personally go to Dongfu sect and kill Watanabe Xiong. I will destroy Dongfu sect forever." Haha. Du Biantan laughed and said, "Boy, it seems like you have lost your mind because of your desire for revenge. Today is the day we die? Ha." Du Biantan's laughter suddenly stopped. The smile on his face suddenly turned into a murderous intent as he shouted, Today is the day you die. All of a sudden, Du Bianchan soared into the sky and a high-grade spiritual weapon appeared in his hand. He slashed out with his saber and the saber light was as bright as the moon. It lit up the sky and slashed towards Yi Xing upper-grade spiritual weapon, Moon Destroyer Blade Technique. Du Bianchan's Moon Destroyer Blade Technique had been cultivated to the initial stage. Its power was extraordinary and the blade aura was shocking. Facing Du Bianchan's terrifying blade, Yi Xing did not move. He waved his hand casually and the silver-winged demonic eagle soared into the sky. Whoosh! The silver-winged demonic eagle cut across the sky like a sharp blade and stopped Du Bianchan. The silver-winged demonic eagle was one of the top among the 3-star reverends. It was even stronger than Du Bianchan. Du Bianchan was at a disadvantage in their first clash. He was shocked and stepped back. Du Bianchan shouted, "I will deal with this beast. You all kill them quickly." The 2-star Reverend Dongshuana looked at Yi Xing and laughed eerily. "Boy, without the protection of the silver-winged demonic eagle, what can you do? Tell me, how do you want to die?" Du Bianchan Shu also came forward with a smile. She looked at Hua Tianfeng and said, "My good brother, it's been more than 10 years and your feet have been cured. It's really not easy. It's not easy to cure your feet, but you're in such a hurry to die. Why do you have to waste a peerless elixir that can regenerate broken limbs?" Hua Tianfeng ignored Du Bianchan Shu. After a cold glance, his eyes fell on Li Hongguang. Li Hongguang was the elder of the Falling Star sect. However, he had betrayed the sect and colluded with Du Bianchan Shu. Du Bianchan Shu was originally from the Dongfu sect. She was a spy arranged by the Dongfu sect in the Falling Star sect. Her betrayal of the Falling Star sect was reasonable, but Li Hongguang's betrayal was real and shameful. Apart from Du Bianchan Shu, there were 3 other elders of the Falling Star sect who had betrayed them. One was the law enforcement elder Yu Pinghai, the other was Zhang Maoxing, the elder of the affairs hall, and the last was Li Hongguang. Yu Pinghai was killed by Lu Tianyuan, the sect master of the Falling Star sect. Zhang Maoxing was killed by Gu Tiansheng. Only Li Hongguang was still alive. Hua Tianfeng looked at Li Hongguang and said coldly, "Li Hongguang, have you been at ease these 3 months? Have you been scolded by the ancestors of the Falling Star sect in your sleep? You traitor!" Li Hongguang did not look ashamed at all. Instead, he smiled and said, "A wise man submits to circumstances. The Falling Star sect is weak and the Dongfu sect is strong. It's certain that the Falling Star sect will be destroyed. I'm just following the trend. Why wouldn't I be at ease? I'm at ease." Yi Xing ignored Dong Xianhe and looked at Li Hongguang, saying, "Very well, then you can die in peace." As he spoke, 2 clouds appeared in Yi Xing's eyes. He had used the cloud eyes. Once, Yi Xing had obtained the azure cloud eyes. He could only keep it a secret and could not let anyone know, because he could not bear the consequences of the azure cloud eyes being exposed. But now, Yi Xing had enough strength to bear the consequences. He did not need to use the azure cloud eyes secretly anymore. He. Li Hongguang laughed coldly. Then, as soon as he started laughing, he suddenly stopped. His eyes were covered with a layer of mist and his expression became dull. Yi Xing's eye of azure cloud had already reached the entry level. It had the effect of controlling the mind of a beginner enlightened master. A 2- and 3-star enlightened master would have a harder time controlling it, but a 1-star enlightened master wouldn't be able to resist it for long. Azure Cloud Eyes. You actually obtained the best spiritual martial art inheritance of the Azure Cloud sect. Seeing the cloud vortex appear in Yi Xing's eyes, the sages exclaimed in unison. The Azure Cloud Eyes was something that the top 10 sects of the Azure Cloud region had been searching for thousands of years in the Azure Cloud ancient land but could not find. Now Yi Xing had obtained it. How could the sages not be shocked? Just as the sages were exclaiming, Li Hongguang's eyes were completely shrouded by the mist, spinning rapidly. He had been completely controlled by Yi Xing. Yi Xing could control his every move. Li Hongguang immediately took out a mid-grade spirit weapon and slashed at the immortal 1-star Westfringy. Middle-grade spiritual martial art clear wind shadowless blade. This blade was very fast and the blade light was without a shadow. West Wind Yizheng was taken aback by Yi Xing's display of the Eye of Clear Cloud. How could he have expected that Li Hongguang would suddenly strike out with his blade? When Shi Fengyi reacted, he instantly activated his Star Gang and his speed exploded to the limit, dodging to the side. Unfortunately, it was too late. Shi Fengyi was unable to avoid Li Hongguang's blade, and only avoided a vital point attack, but the blade still left a deep wound on his body. Blood spurted out. Shi Fengyi was seriously injured. While Li Hongguang slashed out with his blade, and in an instant another blade slashed out, the target was still Shi Fengyi. Shi Fengyi's face was filled with horror, screaming, "Save me!" Dong Xuanhe and Lu Chuanju, in order to save Shi Fengyi, simultaneously attacked Li Hongguang. Watanabe Shu also wanted to help, but suddenly a sense of crisis gushed out from her heart, making her look startled and not dare to act rashly. Hua Tianfeng took out a bow, knocked an arrow and aimed at Watanabe Shu. Hua Tianfeng's attainments in archery had already reached the level of 3 changes at will, which was a great threat to the initial stage sages. Moreover, in Hua Tianfeng's eyes, 2 azure light vortexes also appeared. He had activated the azure cloud eyes. Although Hua Tianfeng was only using the azure cloud eyes, but Hua Tianfeng had already cultivated to a very high level of attainment, and more or less had some influence on Watanabe Shu. The moment Watanabe Shu was distracted, Hua Tianfeng immediately drew his bow, and an arrow pierced through the air, shooting towards Watanabe Shu. Azure Dragon Arrow form. The arrow transformed into an azure dragon, and the roar of the dragon shook the surroundings. Watanabe Shu was not Watanabe Ing. In half an instant, she came back to her senses, and her figure flashed, avoiding Hua Tianfeng's arrow. Whoosh! The arrow shot by Hua Tianfeng turned in the air, instantly changed direction, and continued to shoot towards Watanabe Shu. Watanabe Shu was taken aback. She did not expect Hua Tianfeng's attainments in archery to have reached such a level. At this moment, a scream rang out. Before Li Hongguang could kill West Fengyi, Dong Xianhe and Lu Chuanju's attacks both landed on his body. After all, West Fengyi was on their side, and Li Hongguang was just a person who surrendered to the Falling Star sect. Dong Xianhe and Lu Chuanju were anxious to save Li Hongguang, so their attacks were heavy, and Li Hongguang was instantly fatally injured. People often say that when you raise the rice, you will be grateful, but when you raise the rice, you will be hated. Sure enough, the other authors basically did not say anything about making up for the chapters, because no one owed anyone, so everyone could understand. And I, because I am a kind person, promise to return all the chapters that I did not update. Once I return to normal one day, I will immediately be scolded by n number of people for being shameless. Who is shameless? It's still the same sentence, I will return what I promised. From now on, I will never owe a chapter. Chapter 414. The intense pain woke Li Hongguang up from his mind control. Looking at the 2 fatal wounds on his body, Li Hongguang was terrified. Clank! At the same time that Li Hongguang was fatally injured, a crisp sound rang out. Watanabe Shu managed to block Hua Tianfeng's arrow in the nick of time, and her body retreated continuously. At the same time, Hua Tianfeng drew his bow for the second time and shot at Watanabe Shu. Li Hongguang asked in disbelief. He did not expect that after surrendering to the Dong Fu sect, he would be killed by the Dong Fu sect's perfected person. However, Dong Xuanhe and Lu Chuanju did not have the time to listen to Li Hongguang's death confession. In just 2 breaths, Yi Xing had completely controlled Li Hongguang. Dong Xuanhe and Lu Chuanju did not dare to waste any time. After severely injuring Li Hongguang, they immediately attacked Yi Xing Moon Destroyer Blade Technique. Sky/Sword Technique. Dong Xuanhe used an upper-class spiritual martial skill. Although his Moon Destroyer Blade Technique was not as good as Watanabe Tan, it was not far from the initial stage. Lu Chuanju used a middle-class spiritual martial skill. His Sky/Sword Technique was close to perfection. When he used it, its power was not much weaker than Dong Xuanhe's Moon Destroyer Blade Technique. The saber and the sword attacked Yi Xing at the same time from different angles. Although Yi Xing's eye of blue cloud was terrifying, it still needed some time to control a martial artist's mind. Dong Xuanhe and Lu Chuanzhu attacked with their fastest speed, not giving Yi Xing a second to react. In this way, they were not afraid of Yi Xing's eye technique attack. In their eyes, without the eye of blue cloud, Yi Xing was just a junior martial artist and was not worth mentioning. Facing the combined attack of the sword and the blade, Yi Xing's expression was normal. He was not afraid at all. He even showed a hint of disdain. Yi Xing did not retreat. Instead, he stepped forward. A beam of light shot out from his eyes and a terrifying aura exploded. The aura of an astral realm perfected person was revealed. Astral realm? 1-star sage? Yi Xing was so young, but he had already broken through the astral realm and became an enlightened master. This shocked Dong Xuanhe and Lu Chuanzhu. However, the two of them had already made their move, and it was impossible for them to stop midway. The energy sabers and energy swords continued to hack at Yi Xing upper-class spiritual martial force, Flame Dipper Fist. Condensing flames into astral energy. Tiger Roar and Dragon Cry. Yi Xing attacked with both hands at the same time. His left hand used condensing flames into astral wind and punched at Lu Chuan Bamboo. His right hand used Tiger Roar and Dragon Roar and punched at Dong Xinhe. Boom, boom. 2 explosions rang out, and the astral sword and saber instantly shattered. Lu Chuanzhu was no match for Yi Xing's punch. Even though the Flame Dipper Fist was just one of the more common moves in the Flaming Dipper Fist, the Flaming Dipper Fist at the Great Completion stage was extremely powerful. Lu Chuanzhu immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body instantly shot backward. Dong Xinhe was a 2-star enlightened master, and he was 1 level higher than Lu Chuanzhu. However, there wasn't much of a difference between them in front of Yi Xing. Especially when Yi Xing attacked Dong Xinhe with the ultimate move of the Flaming Dipper Fist, Tiger Roar and Dragon Roar. Its power was unimaginable. Therefore, Dong Xinhe was in an even worse state than Lu Chuanzhu. The high-grade spiritual weapon in his hand was directly shattered by Yi Xing's punch. The terrifying energy fist slammed into Dong Xinhe's chest, causing it to cave in. Dong Xinhe spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face was filled with fear and pain. The sound of his bones and tendons shattering could be heard from his body. With a miserable shriek, Dong Xinhe's body shot backward. After landing on the ground, there was no more movement. He had been killed by Yi Xing's punch. Lu Chuanzhu fell to the ground, and his body struggled for a moment. However, he couldn't get up no matter how hard he tried. His internal organs were also shattered by Yi Xing's punch. In the blink of an eye, Yi Xing had counterattacked Dong Xinhe and Lu Chuanzhu. One of them was dead, and the other was heavily injured. Shi Fengyi, who was heavily injured, wasn't attacked by Yi Xing. However, at this moment, he cried out in shock. He couldn't imagine that Yi Xing was already a stellar realm enlightened master. He actually had such terrifying strength. Similarly, Watanabe Shu was also shocked. Dong Xinhe and Lu Chuanzhu's outcome had shocked her. When facing Hua Tianfeng's arrow attack, her reaction was a bit slow. Hua Tianfeng's arrow was extremely fast. Watanabe Shu was already in danger when facing the arrow attack. At this moment, her reaction was a bit slow, and she was instantly shot in the chest by the arrow. The terrifying power of the Azure Dragon arrow style entered Watanabe Shu's body along with the arrow. In an instant, her internal organs were heavily injured. Watanabe Shu screamed and retreated. She looked at the arrow in her chest with a terrified expression. At this moment, Hua Tianfeng had already knocked an arrow and aimed at Watanabe Shu. Watanabe Shu felt the aura of death. She looked at Hua Tianfeng and shouted, "Tianfeng, I'm your elder sister. I'm Tanshu, I'm Dinghu." Hua Tianfeng's expression changed, but he quickly regained his composure. He gritted his teeth and said, "From the beginning to the end, I've never had an elder sister. Go to hell, bitch." Whoosh! The arrow pierced through the air and shot out. "How dare you!" In the distance, Watanabe Tan roared. Under the attack of the silver-winged demonic condor, he was at a disadvantage and couldn't help. However, with this roar, Watanabe Tan's aura suddenly surged. His strength was extraordinary. He dodged the attack of the silver-winged demonic condor and used the moon-vanquishing blade technique to slash at the arrow shot by Hua Tianfeng. The blade radiance was like the moon, piercing through the air. If Hua Tianfeng's arrow was hit by the blade of 3-star spiritual master, it would definitely be cut in half. Old thief! Yi Xing shouted at the same time and threw a punch at the saber aura that was tearing through the air. Before the blade aura could hit the arrow, the flaming fist aura had already collided with the blade aura and exploded. The arrow was not blocked at all. It shot into Watanabe Shu's throat and killed her. Li Hongguang, Dong Xuanhe, and Watanabe Shu died one after another. West Wind Yi and Lu Chuanzhu were both seriously injured. Of the 6 spiritual masters, only Watanabe Tan was unharmed. However, he was also in a difficult situation under the attack of the silver-winged demonic condor. When Yi Xing and Hua Tianfeng came with the silver-winged demonic condor, Watanabe Tan thought that Yi Xing was seeking his own death. Who would have thought that the Dongfu sect would be defeated like this? And this miscalculation occurred because of Yi Xing. He never expected that Yi Xing had obtained the supreme spiritual martial art, Eye of Blue Cloud, and had broken through to the astral realm. He actually had such terrifying strength. Watanabe Tan roared, "Yi Xing Huananfeng, I will tear you into pieces. Not even your bones will be left." The 4-winged flying snake at the back was summoned by Watanabe Tan and flew over. Watanabe Tan unleashed the power of his astrology, astral energy, and martial arts to the limit. He attacked the silver-winged demonic condor fiercely and forced it back. Then, he formed astral wings and glided towards the 4-winged flying snake. In less than a second, Watanabe Tan had already joined the 4-winged flying snake and stepped on its back. Watanabe Tan shouted fiercely, but he did not continue to attack with the 4-winged flying snake. Instead, he fled into the distance. Yi Xing knew the Eye of Blue Cloud and could control the 4-winged flying snake. If Watanabe Tan used the 4-winged flying snake to attack Yi Xing, it would be suicide. Whoosh, wings of black feathers appeared on Yi Xing's back. His figure flashed like lightning and soared into the sky. A mid-grade flying spirit artifact, coupled with the wind force of the minute subtlety realm, was even faster than the 4-winged flying snake. Watanabe Tan rode the 4-winged flying snake for a few miles before he was intercepted by Yi Xing. A cloud vortex appeared in Yi Xing's eyes as he used the Eye of Blue Cloud. Watanabe Tan was shocked and immediately had a bad feeling. Indeed, the Eye of Blue Cloud was much more effective on fey beasts than martial artists. In the blink of an eye, the 4-winged flying snake was affected. Its body swayed and it shook off Watanabe Tan. Then, the 4-winged flying snake let out a long hiss and pounced at Watanabe Tan. At the same time, the silver-winged demonic condor also attacked Watanabe Tan. Its silver wings cut through the void like sharp blades. Watanabe Tan was already at a disadvantage against the silver-winged demonic condor's attack. How could he withstand the simultaneous attacks of the silver-winged demonic condor and the 4-winged flying snake? Soon, Watanabe Tan was cut in half by the silver-winged demonic condor's silver wings as he dodged the 4-winged flying snake's attack. An unwilling roar reverberated in the air, and the 2 halves of Watanabe Tan's body fell from the sky. Of the 6 spiritual masters of the East Fu sect, 4 were dead and 2 were seriously injured. The Star Vortex Realm martial saints were dumbfounded and fled in all directions. With a flap of his black wings, Yi Xing quickly returned to his original place and landed in front of West Fengyi. The silver-winged demonic condor and the 4-winged flying snake both landed behind Yi Xing, like 2 protectors guarding one side. The seriously injured Lu Chuanzhu let out a blood-curdling scream and was killed by Hua Tianfeng's arrow. The only spiritual master of the East Fu sect left was West Fengyi. West Fengyi's breathing was rapid, his eyes full of horror and his heart trembling. He was seriously injured and could not move freely. He could not even escape. In fact, even if West Fengyi was not injured, there was no hope of escape. As a 3-star spiritual master, Watanabe Tan was easily caught and killed by Yi Xing as he fled on the 4-winged flying snake, let alone West Fengyi. Hua Tianfeng knocked an arrow and pointed at West Fengyi. Kill this East Fu dog thief with one arrow. Yixing shook his head. No, he still has a little use. West Fengyi's eyes lit up when he heard this. Hope was born in his despair. Yixing looked coldly at West Fengyi. I'll give you a chance to live. Do you want it? West Fengyi nodded repeatedly. Yes, yes. Yixing pointed to the four-winged flying snake. Ride the four-winged flying snake back to the East Fu sect and tell Watanabe Xiong that 3 days later, I will go to the East Fu sect and kill everyone. Tell him to keep his life well. 3 days later, I will personally take his dog life. West Fengyi was taken aback. The chance Yixing gave him to live was to let him go back to the East Fu sect. Was there such a good thing? West Fengyi was surprised. That's all. Yixing nodded. That's all. Do you want it or not? Yes, of course. West Fengyi was overjoyed. Today many brothers voted for me. Thank you very much. I will work hard to write in return. Chapter 415. Sixth update. West Wind E felt that he was very lucky, as if a pie had fallen from the sky onto him. Of the 6 perfected masters who occupied the other 5 were dead, and he was the only one who survived. Moreover, Yixing let him ride the four-winged flying snake back to the East Fu sect. Wasn't this a pie from the sky? This kid is young and arrogant. He became a perfected master of the astral realm at such a young age. How dare he look down on my East Fu sect? My sect master is a perfected master of the 4 stars. How dare you threaten to kill your way into the East Fu sect? You're courting death. West Wind E thought to himself as he left on the four-winged flying snake. A perfected master of the 4 stars was already in the middle stage of the astral realm, and his strength was far beyond that of a perfected master of the East Fu sect. West Wind E had full confidence in the sect master of the East Fu sect, Watanabe Xiong. Looking at the four-winged flying snake in the sky, Hua Tianfeng said, "The end of the East Fu sect has arrived." Hua Tianfeng wasn't worried about Yixing killing his way into the East Fu sect. Hua Tianfeng was the only one who knew the secret of Yixing's astrology, and he knew the limit of Yixing's strength. Yixing was now able to defeat a perfected master of the 3 stars, so when he used the black hole astrology and Sagittarius astrology, his battle strength would be greatly increased, and killing a perfected master of the 4 stars would be a piece of cake. However, Hua Tianfeng's expression was a little puzzled as he continued to speak. If you kill your way into the East Fu sect, won't you catch them off guard? Why did you let West Wind E go back to inform Watanabe Xiong? Yixing smiled. I gave him 3 days, which is just enough time to gather the sects in the southern part of the Qingyun region, but not enough time to go to the northern part of the Qingyun region to ask for help. So, to be safe, Watanabe Xiong should have invited Flying Cloud sect, Divine Wind sect, and Blood Ghost sect to help. This way, I can kill them all in one fell swoop. Hua Tianfeng couldn't help but admire Yixing's plan and courage. If he directly destroyed the Dongfu sect, the news would quickly spread. If Yixing went to the Flying Cloud sect, the Divine Wind sect, or the Blood Spectre sect, his enemies would most likely be one step ahead of him. If they escaped from the Qingyun region, no matter how resourceful Yixing was, he wouldn't be able to find them. Therefore, it was best to gather them together and catch them all in one fell swoop. Hua Tianfeng said, Flying Cloud sect, Holy Wind sect, and Blood Spectre sect all have 3-star Venerable Masters. 2-star Venerable Masters and 1-star Venerable Masters are even more numerous. If they all gather at Dongfu sect, they will have the advantage in numbers. Although you are strong, can you deal with them alone? The corners of Yixing's mouth curled up, and a green light appeared in his eyes. He said, You want to compete with me in numbers? Aren't you courting death? Hua Tianfeng understood and laughed happily. Not bad, not bad. I didn't think about that. Ha! On the same day, Yixing set up a new formation on the basis of the previous one. He had a lot of formation materials on him, and the Falling Star Sect's formation foundation was perfect. In just one day, Yixing repaired many level 3 formations. Moreover, when Yixing set up the formations, he integrated the formations he learned from Venerable Qin Yun, making them even more powerful. On the second day, Yi Xing entered the Qingyun Mountains. On the fourth day, Yi Xing agreed to attack Dong Fu sect. Dong Fu sect was ready, waiting for Yi Xing's arrival. In Dong Fu sect, there were not only martial artists from Dong Fu sect, but also venerable masters from the Flying Sky sect, the Divine Wind sect, and the Blood Spectre sect. Although the Blood Spirit sect's martial practitioners who had gone to Nine Heaven City were slightly slower than Yi Xing, they had returned 2 days ago with news that Yi Xing was in Nine Heaven City. The news quickly spread among the southern sections. First place in the Young Heroes competition. Invincible 3-star Venerable Masters. Destroyed the Sun Moon sect's stronghold in Nine Heaven City. This news shocked the martial artists of the 4 great sections. As for Venerable Master Wu Yu's public statement of protecting Yi Xing and the Blood Spectre sect's martial artists didn't know about it, because it happened after the Young Heroes competition. At that time, they were already on their way back to the Qingyun Mountains. Yi Xing was so powerful that the Flying Cloud sect, the Blood Spectre sect, and the Divine Wind sect couldn't compete with him. Only the Dong Fu sect, who had a venerable 4-star Venerable Master Watanabe Xiong, could remain calm, but he still felt a lot of pressure. Yi Xing's growth was so fast that he was already a venerable master at the age of 18. In 2 more years, he would be even more powerful. 2 years later, who could guarantee that a venerable 4-star venerable would still be Yi Xing's opponent? Watanabe Xiong didn't dare to act rashly against Yi Xing. Now that Yi Xing had become powerful, once he made a move, he had to kill Yi Xing completely. He couldn't give Yi Xing a chance to turn things around. Since Yi Xing had agreed to go to the Dong Fu sect in 3 days, Watanabe Xiong also set his plan to kill Yi Xing on that day. The Dong Fu sect was his territory, so he had the advantage of formations. Of course, killing Yi Xing in the Dong Fu sect would give him the greatest advantage. In order to kill Yi Xing in one fell swoop, Watanabe Xiong sent out invitations to the Flying Cloud sect, the Blood Spectre sect, and the Divine Wind sect. These 3 sects didn't have the strength to fight against Yi Xing, so they naturally agreed to the Dong Fu sect's invitation. Moreover, they sent out their strongest team to help the Dong Fu sect. The venerable 3-star venerables of the Flying Cloud sect, the Blood Spectre sect, and the Divine Wind sect all arrived. They were the grand elders of their respective sections. In addition, the sect masters of the 3 sects all arrived, each with 1 venerable 2-star venerable and 3 venerable 1-star venerable. Including the sect masters themselves, each sect sent out 6 venerable ones, 1 venerable 3-star venerable, 2 venerable 2-star venerable, and 3 venerable 1-star venerable. The 3 sects had a total of 18 venerable ones. Including the Dong Fu sect's venerable one, there were more than 20 of them. As for the Dong Fu sect's Star Vortex Realm Martial Saints, needless to say, there were more than 1,000 of them. With so many martial saints, venerable ones, and the venerable 4-star Venerable Watanabe Xiong, they were naturally confident in dealing with Yi Xing. The experts of the 4 sects were only worried that Yi Xing wouldn't show up, but would hide and cultivate instead of fighting with them. After 2 years, he would come back with a higher cultivation and stronger strength. At that time, even a venerable 4-star venerable wouldn't be able to stop him. Their worry was obviously unnecessary. Since Yi Xing said that he would come to the Dong Fu sect 3 days later to kill Watanabe Xiong, then he would definitely come. More than 20 venerable ones gathered in the hall. Watanabe Xiong sat in the main seat. The Flying Cloud sect's Yun Zhangkong, the Blood Ghost sect's Mo Yuxi, and the Wind sect's Feng Heng sat below Watanabe Xiong. Below them were the venerable 2-star and venerable 1-star venerable ones. A half-step perfected person rushed into the hall and reported to Watanabe Xiong. Reporting to the faction leader, Yi Xing has been found 300 miles north of our faction. Watanabe Xiong's eyes flashed and he smiled. He really dares to come. The eyes of the venerable ones lit up. They were afraid that Yi Xing wouldn't come. Compared to the excitement of the venerable ones, the half-step venerable one who reported looked a little depressed. Sweat could be seen on his forehead as he continued, "Sect Master, although Yi Xing came alone, he brought an endless army of demonic beasts with him. I don't know how many of them there are. According to the sentries in front, they were all high-level 2 demonic beasts, and there were even level 3 demonic beasts. The smiles of the venerable ones froze on their faces. Watanabe Xiong's eyes widened. What did you say? He brought an army of demonic beasts? The half-step venerable one said, Yes, sect master. We lost contact with the sentries 300 miles north. I'm afraid they are already dead. The speed of the demonic beast army is very fast. I'm afraid it won't be long before they reach East Supporting Peak. An army of demonic beasts with an unknown number of level 2 demonic beasts, and there were even level 3 demonic beasts. What kind of terrifying force was this? The experts of the 4 sects wanted to use their numbers to bully Yixing. Now the Yixing brought an army of demonic beasts. The 4 sects' advantage was gone. The only advantage they had was Watanabe Xiong, a mid-level venerable one. However, the premise was that there were no mid-level level 3 demonic beasts in Yixing's army. Watanabe Xiong stood up from his seat and said, I should have thought of this. He knows the Blue Cloud sect's best spiritual martial art, Eye of Clear Cloud. He can control demonic beasts. The reason why he set the meeting 3 days later was to free up time to control the demonic beasts in Blue Cloud Mountain. Watanabe Xiong slammed the table and shouted, I should have gone to Falling Star sect to kill this kid as soon as I got the news. The venerable ones also stood up. The Flying Cloud sect master Yun Zhangkong said, How can he have the Blue Cloud sect's best spiritual martial art, Eye of Clear Cloud? The rest of the venerable ones were also surprised and had the same question. Among the Dongfu sect's venerable ones, Shifengyi said, He does know the Eye of Clear Cloud. I saw him use it with my own eyes and controlled a venerable one. The venerable ones could accept the fact that demonic beasts were controlled, but the fact that a venerable one was controlled made them feel a chill. Watanabe Xiong waved his hand to suppress the commotion and said, Everyone, don't panic. It's hard to find mid-rank 3 demonic beasts in Blue Cloud Mountain. Even if there are rank 3 demonic beasts in this kid's demonic beast army, they should only be early rank 3 demonic beasts. When the time comes, all you have to do is hold back the early rank 3 demonic beasts and I can still kill this kid in the demonic beast army. The Blood Spectre sect master Mo Wuxia chuckled and said, Speaking of eye techniques, although my Blood Spectre sect's Blood Spectre eye technique is not as good as Blue Cloud sect's Eye of Clear Cloud, it is still quite effective in controlling demonic beasts. My junior brothers and I are all experts in controlling demonic beasts. Yixing is dreaming if he wants to rely on his demonic beast army to attack us. That's right. We might not be able to control mid-rank 3 demonic beasts, but we still have some confidence in dealing with early rank 3 demonic beasts. The key to the demonic beast army is the early rank 3 demonic beasts. As long as we can deal with this problem, the rank 2 demonic beast army will be nothing. Everyone can come and go as you please. If the demonic beast army loses its effect, this kid will be like a tiger that has lost its claws and fangs. Killing him will be as easy as flipping your hand. The venerable ones of the Blood Spectre sect spoke one after another. Chapter 416. With Watanabe Xiong, a 4-star enlightened master, and a few enlightened masters from the Blood Ghost sect, Yixing's demonic beast army didn't seem that scary anymore. The enlightened masters became arrogant again. Watanabe Xiong ordered, Activate the sect protecting formation. Then, he said to the enlightened masters, Everyone, let's go to the North Peak and meet this kid's demonic beast army. The sect protecting formation was activated and a light barrier covered the entire East Supporting Peak. North of the East Supporting Peak, Watanabe Xiong and the other enlightened masters looked towards the north. Behind them, there were many martial saints from the East Supporting sect. They hadn't seen Yixing yet, but they could already feel the ground shaking. It was as if a huge army was rushing towards them. The enlightened masters had strong eyesight and soon found Yixing and the demonic beasts. The first thing they saw were the demonic beasts flying in the sky. They were the vanguard of the demonic beast army, and there were several hundred of them. At the front was a level 3 silver-winged demonic condor. Yixing stood on the back of the silver-winged demonic condor. He had already seen the enlightened masters on the East Supporting Peak. There were a total of 27 enlightened masters, 1 4-star enlightened master, 3 3-star enlightened masters, 10 2-star enlightened masters, and 13 1-star enlightened masters. Yixing smiled. There were so many enlightened masters. Obviously, the Flying Cloud sect, Blood Ghost sect, and Divine Wind sect had sent reinforcements. Moreover, there were many of them. This was exactly what Yixing wanted. He wanted to kill all the higher-ups of the 4 sects in one fell swoop. Moreover, Yixing saw the enemies who had attacked the Falling Star sect that day. The East Supporting sect and Blood Ghost sect were there. The 2 from the Flying Cloud sect were already killed before Yixing went to the Nine Heaven City. The 2 from the Divine Wind sect were killed by Yixing in the Nine Heaven City. Today, he killed the 2 from the East Supporting sect and Blood Ghost sect to avenge the sect master Lu Tianyuan and the elders. This was only the vengeance between the sect master and the elders. The vengeance of the Falling Stars sect was not something that could be settled with just a few enemies. There was only one result for a sect that destroyed the and that was to be destroyed. This was especially true for the East Supporting sect, which had been enemies with the Falling Star sect for generations. The East Supporting sect was the main force that destroyed the Falling Star sect. Countless Falling Star sect martial artists had died at the hands of the East Supporting sect martial artists. Therefore, the Dong Fu sect couldn't let any of them go. Today, the Dong Fu sect would be completely wiped out. Those who had come to the Dong Fu sect were the upper echelons of the other 3 sections. Once these people were taken care of, the other 3 sects would collapse on their own without Yixing needing to do anything. As long as he could get rid of all the people in the Dong Fu sect today, all the hatred would be resolved. Very quickly, the several hundred flying beasts arrived at the north of East Rising Peak and stopped in the sky a few miles away. At this moment, the spiritual masters also saw the demonic beast army on the ground at the end of their vision. This was the real demonic beast army. They could not see the end of it. On the silver-winged devil eagle, Yixing shouted, "Watanabe Xiong, have you washed your dog head clean? I'm here to get it." Yixing and Watanabe Xiong had never met before, but they could tell who was Watanabe Xiong from their positions. His voice was roared out with astral force, and the sound waves were like waves, spreading out in all directions. His voice was like thunder, and all the martial artists in the Dong Fu sect heard it clearly. Watanabe Xiong's face darkened, and he shouted, "Kid, you've just broken through to the astral realm, and yet you're already so arrogant. You're born with a short life, and you won't live past today." Haha. Yixing laughed, his voice wild and unruly. "Today, I'll lead the demonic beast army to destroy your sect and wash the Dong Fu sect with blood. No one will be left alive, and your Dong Fu sect will be emptied soon. Of course, there's no one in my eyes, only corpses." Today, Yixing only came for revenge. He went on a killing spree and washed Dong Fu with blood. He did not care about reason, nor did he care about grace, nor did he care about benevolence. There were a total of 27 perfected persons on the Dong Fu Peak. They were confident before, but now, they felt a little depressed. Regardless of whether Yixing was condescending or arrogant, Yixing's attitude of looking down on them made them feel uncomfortable and depressed. Although Yixing was only one person, his aura was even stronger when facing 27 perfected masters. He was like a towering mountain that pierced through the clouds, making people look up to him. Mo Yuxi, the sect leader of the Blood Spectre sect, and Feng Heng, the sect leader of the Holy Wind sect, had seen Yixing at the 10 sects grand competition. This was their second meeting. Watanabe Xiong, the sect leader of the Dong Fu sect, had met Yixing for the first time. Only Yun Zhangkong, the sect leader of the Flying Cloud sect, had seen Yixing's glory at the Spiritual Moon sect and Flying Cloud sect's gathering. He had witnessed Yixing's growth from a 5-star martial saint to a 1-star perfected person. When he was a 5-star martial saint, he had defeated a 7-star martial saint. When he was a 7-star martial saint, he had defeated a 9-star martial saint in the 10 sects grand competition. Now, Yixing was a 1-star perfected person, and it was said that he had defeated a 3-star perfected person in the Young Hero Assembly. Yun Zhangkong sighed in his heart. He had to admit that Yi Xing was a peerless genius, a monstrous genius that he had never heard of. If he could turn back time, he would never have made an enemy of Yi Xing or the Falling Star sect. However, time could not be turned back. The choice that had been made could not be changed. Therefore, Yun Zhangkong only had one thought, and that was that Watanabe Xiong could kill Yi Xing today. Otherwise, it would be a nightmare for any of the 4 sects. At this time, the demonic beast army on the ground had also approached. The demonic beasts were emitting violent auras, and the perfected persons could see the specific cultivation of the demonic beasts. The silver-winged demonic condor under Yi Xing's feet was equivalent to a 3-star perfected person. Among the hundreds of demonic beasts, there were 3 3-star demonic beasts, one of which was equivalent to a 2-star perfected person, and 2 of which were equivalent to a 1-star perfected person. In the demonic beast army on the ground, there were more 3-star perfected person, and there were more than 10 of them. Among them, there were 2 3-star perfected person, 5 2-star perfected person, and 9 1-star perfected person. There were a total of 23-star demonic beasts. It was 7 fewer than the 27 perfected persons on the east supporting peak. Moreover, there were 3-star demonic beasts on the east supporting peak. The east supporting sect had 3 3-star demonic beasts, one of which was equivalent to a 3-star perfected person, and 2 of which were equivalent to a 2-star perfected person. The Flying Cloud sect and the Holy Wind sect had 1 3-star demonic beast each, and the Blood Spectre sect had 2 3-star demonic beasts, both of which were equivalent to a 3-star perfected person. On the east supporting peak, there were 7 3-star demonic beasts, 5 of which were equivalent to a 3-star perfected person, and 2 of which were equivalent to a 2-star perfected person. This was also an extremely powerful force. Although the demonic beast army's numbers far exceeded the martial artists on the east supporting peak, they were at a disadvantage in terms of high-end combat power. The Azure Cloud mountain range was very vast with countless demonic beasts, but 3-star demonic beasts were not easy to find. Yi Xing was able to control 23-star demonic beasts in 2 days, which was already quite good. As for the 3-star demonic beasts, there was no need for Yi Xing to control them. Every 3-star demonic beast had their own territory in the depths of the Azure Cloud mountain range, and all the demonic beasts within their territory obeyed their orders. Yi Xing controlled the 3-star demonic beasts, and the 3-star demonic beasts commanded the 3-star demonic beasts. A demonic beast army was naturally formed. The perfected persons did not care about the number of 3-star demonic beasts. They only cared about the 3-star demonic beasts that were equivalent to perfected persons. Seeing that the 3-star demonic beasts brought by Yi Xing could not compare to the perfected persons and 3-star demonic beasts on the east supporting peak, the pressure in the perfected persons' hearts quickly dissipated, and their hearts calmed down. Watanabe Xiong swept his gaze and quickly judged the 3-star demonic beasts' numbers and strength, and a smile appeared on his face. Watanabe Xiong said, "Kid, do you think you can threaten us with this demonic beast army? Ha! Fellow perfected persons, help me block his 3-star demonic beasts. Watch how I kill this reckless thief in the midst of this demonic beast army." As he spoke, a silver light flashed behind Watanabe Xiong, and a pair of silver wings grew out. It was a middle-grade flying spiritual weapon. Seeing this, the perfected persons were even more delighted. Watanabe Xiong actually had a middle-grade flying spiritual weapon. In that case, even if Yi Xing also had a middle-grade flying spiritual weapon, it would be difficult for him to escape Watanabe Xiong's pursuit even if his cultivation was insufficient. In this way, killing Yi Xing was almost a certainty. Good. Sect Master Watanabe Xiong, don't worry and kill Yi Xing. We will deal with the 3-star demonic beasts. Sect Master Watanabe Xiong will definitely make this thief bleed in 5 steps, and kill him in 7 steps. The perfected persons shouted one after another, looking excited. Kill! Watanabe Xiong shouted and flapped the silver wings behind him. Like a flash of light, he instantly passed through the light shield of the formation and charged toward Yi Xing. The rest of the perfected persons also condensed their astral wings and rushed out of the light shield of the formation to kill the 3-star demonic beasts in the demonic beast army, so that Yi Xing could not get help from the demonic beasts. Seeing that all 27 perfected persons had rushed out of the light shield of the formation, Yi Xing was not surprised, but delighted. The corner of his mouth could not help but curl up. Falling Moon Massacre. Watanabe Xiong used the ultimate move of the moon vanquishing saber technique. When this upper-grade spiritual weapon was used, the saber aura extended for hundreds of feet. Like a broken moon, it slashed toward Yi Xing with terrifying force. This saber aura was domineering and indomitable. It would kill even gods and Buddhas in its way. Flame Astrology. Facing a 4-star perfected person, Yi Xing did not dare to underestimate him. He immediately used the Flame Astrology. Wearing the upper-grade spiritual weapon, the Blazing Flame Gloves, he used the Blazing Fist and punched out. Tiger Roar and Dragon Roar. A fire dragon and a fire tiger appeared with this punch. The tiger's roar shook the sky and the dragon's roar was ear-piercing. As soon as Yi Xing attacked, he unleashed a strike at his peak state. The power of fire and the power of the Starfire Seed were all contained in this punch. The Flaming Fist had a destructive force that collided with the moon-vanquishing saber aura. Boom! The explosion shook the sky. Astral currents splashed in all directions. Terrifying airwaves rushed in all directions as if there was a big explosion. A 4-star perfected person was indeed a mid-level perfected person. His strength was extraordinary. Even though the saber was blocked, it was still terrifying as it slashed forward. Yi Xing's peak state attack was enough to defeat a 3-star perfected person. However, in front of Watanabe Xiong, it was weak. Watanabe Xiong's body shook violently and shot backward. Yi Xing was shocked. The black wings appeared on his back and he turned to flee. Ah, do you think you can escape? Watanabe Xiong laughed. He flapped his silver wings and chased after Yi Xing. Chapter 417. Watanabe Xiong's cultivation was profound, and his astral aura propelled his mid-grade flying spiritual weapon even faster than Yi Xing's. The distance between the two shrunk at a speed visible to the naked eye. The rest of the perfected masters were delighted. Yi Xing couldn't escape. As long as Yi Xing was killed, the demonic beast army wouldn't be a threat despite their numbers. The perfected masters would work together to kill a few third-level demonic beasts, and the demonic beast army would be routed. The key to this battle was whether they could kill Yi Xing, so the perfected masters' attention was on Watanabe Xiong and Yi Xing. They didn't attack the third-level demonic beasts fiercely, only delaying them so that they couldn't rescue Yi Xing. Kid, how dare you come to the Dongfu sect with this little ability? You're walking right into a trap. Watanabe Xiong quickly closed in on Yi Xing, roaring as he slashed down with his upper-grade spiritual weapon. A round of bright moonlight burst out. The pursuit took only a few breaths, but they were already more than 10 miles away from the Dongfu sect. The shock in Yi Xing's eyes disappeared, replaced by a murderous intent. A ray of black starlight shot out from between Yi Xing's eyebrows, shooting up into the sky and turning into a huge dark vortex. Boundless darkness suddenly shrouded Watanabe Xiong in all directions, making him shocked. Yi Xing used the black hole astrology, and at the same time, the wings on his back changed from the black feather wings to the azure cloud wings, doubling his speed. Watanabe Xiong's moonlight blade continued to shoot forward without slowing down, but Yi Xing easily dodged it. What astrology is this? Watanabe Xiong exclaimed, putting away his blade and assuming a defensive posture. He also used his own astrology, a high-grade metal attribute one. However, Watanabe Xiong's golden astrology was also shrouded in boundless darkness, appearing extremely dim. The black hole astrology was too advanced. Even though Watanabe Xiong's cultivation was 3 levels higher than Yi Xing's, his astrology couldn't disperse the darkness caused by the black hole astrology. The bright day had suddenly turned into night. It was so dark that one couldn't even see one's own fingers. Anyone who encountered such a situation would be shocked and inevitably lose their head out of fear. The perfected masters in the distance were also shocked. They didn't fall into the world of darkness, but they looked at the black hole astrology above Yi Xing with shock. A normal astrology was a star, but Yi Xing's astrology was a dark vortex. The perfected masters had never seen such an astrology before. What was even more shocking was that Yi Xing had already unleashed his flame astral avatar. At this moment, the flame astral avatar was still in the sky, but it had been pushed to a corner by the dark vortex. This meant that Yi Xing actually had two types of astrological signs. How could one person have two astrological signs? The enlightened masters found it hard to believe. What was even more shocking was yet to come. Another beam of starlight flew out from between Yi Xing's eyebrows and turned into a giant starry bow in the air. Ultimate astrology, Sagittarius astrology. Constellation astrology. Sagittarius astrology. The legendary ultimate astrology. Has three astrologues? The perfected masters exclaimed, their voices filled with shock and disbelief. Yi Xing wasn't Watanabe Xiong's opponent if he didn't use his trump card. Today, Yi Xing came for revenge, swearing to wipe out the Dongfu sect, so he didn't care about revealing his trump card in front of everyone. They were about to become a pile of corpses anyway, so it didn't matter if they knew Yi Xing's secret. When Yi Xing used the Sagittarius astrology, the sky bow appeared in his hand, a purple gold arrow knocked on the bow, aiming at Watanabe Xiong. In the world of darkness, Watanabe Xiong immediately felt a terrifying murderous intent. The aura of death shrouded him, making him feel that his life was no longer in his own hands. This feeling of death was extremely terrifying. Watanabe Xiong's heart tightened, and he shouted, "Kid, what tricks are you playing? If you have the ability, fight me with real swords and spears." As he spoke, Watanabe Xiong's hair stood on end, and he was extremely alert, guarding against his surroundings. The perfected masters looked at Watanabe Xiong in shock. They weren't shrouded in the world of darkness, so they could see that Yi Xing was only 1,000 meters away from Watanabe Xiong. However, Watanabe Xiong acted as if he didn't know where Yi Xing was. He was guarding in all directions, not focusing on Yi Xing's direction. Sect Master Watanabe, Yi Xing is 27 degrees to your left, about 2,600 steps away from you. Blood Spirit Sect Master Mo Wuxia's eyes were sharp, and he immediately warned Watanabe Xiong. At the same time that Mo Wuxia spoke, Yi Xing had already shot out his strongest arrow. As the arrow left the bowstring, a dragon's roar sounded, and it turned into a huge azure dragon. It instantly streaked across the void and pounced in front of Watanabe Xiong. The azure dragon arrow technique of the transformative realm contained the power of the Sagittarius constellation and the power of 3 different realms of heaven and earth. Its power was extremely terrifying. Mo Wuxia's warning made Watanabe Xiong react instantly. With a loud shout, the spiritual weapon treasure sword in his hand shone brightly, and he slashed down in the direction where the arrow came from. Before the sword energy left his body, the azure dragon had already rushed up and collided with him. As a 4-star perfected master, Watanabe Xiong's strength exploded to the limit, and his attack was extremely terrifying. However, the power of the azure dragon was even more terrifying. The azure dragon waved its claws, and with a crisp sound, the sword energy dissipated, and the spiritual weapon treasure sword was instantly slapped away. Then, Watanabe Xiong's body was engulfed by the azure dragon. The azure dragon instantly rushed over Watanabe Xiong's body, and it turned into a ray of light and shot out from behind him. Puff fresh blood spurted out from Watanabe Xiong's throat, spraying into the sky. Watanabe Xiong's throat was pierced by an arrow. Watanabe Xiong clutched his neck, and his eyes were filled with horror. This arrow didn't just pierce his throat. A terrifying power exploded in Watanabe Xiong's body and traveled along his meridians, destroying them one by one. How is this possible? Watanabe Xiong exclaimed in disbelief. He had cultivated to the 4-star perfected master with great difficulty and became the strongest person in the southern part of the Qingyun region. He had never expected such an ending. The meridians in his body were destroyed, and the astral energy dissipated. The silver wings on his back lost the support of the astral energy, and they shrank and returned to his body. Watanabe Xiong's life was rapidly draining away, and his body fell from the sky. A formidable person of a generation had come to an end. Sect leader. On Dongfu Peak, a large number of Dongfu sect martial artists cried out in surprise. The founder of the Dongfu sect was only a 4-star perfected master, and there hadn't been another 4-star perfected master since the founder. It wasn't until Watanabe Xiong broke the record and reached the same level as the founder. In the Dongfu sect, Watanabe Xiong's prestige was very high. Every Dongfu sect martial artist worshipped Watanabe Xiong, and they believed that the Dongfu sect would rise to glory under his leadership and surpass every sect in the southern part of the Qinyan region. However, Watanabe Xiong's throat was pierced by Yi Xing's arrow right in front of them. How could the Dongfu sect martial artists believe this? The perfected masters shuddered. No one had expected Yi Xing to be so powerful that he could kill Watanabe Xiong with one arrow. Yi Xing stared at Watanabe Xiong's falling body and shouted, "Watanabe Xiong, have you felt death? Soon, everyone in the Dongfu sect will follow in your footsteps. Today, I'll wash the Dongfu sect with blood and leave no one alive. From now on, there will be no Dongfu sect in this world." The falling Watanabe Xiong's body shook violently, and his heart was filled with endless regret. The strong emotions caused him to die even faster. Run! The perfected masters were scared out of their wits, and they cried out one after another. They no longer had the courage to resist Yi Xing. Even Watanabe Xiong, a 4-star perfected master, was killed by Yi Xing with one arrow. Who would dare to resist Yi Xing? They only wanted to run away. The perfected masters were divided into 2 groups. Most of them rushed to Dongfu Peak, while a small number of them lost confidence in the Dongfu sect's formation and fled in all directions. The Dongfu sect's formation was a level 3 formation. It was effective against beginner perfected masters, but not against mid-level perfected masters. If Yi Xing could kill Watanabe Xiong, it was possible for him to break the Dongfu sect's formation. Since Yi Xing had exposed his trump card in front of them, he would not let any of them escape. He immediately ordered the level 3 demonic beasts to counterattack. All the level 3 demonic beasts went berserk and attacked crazily. The perfected masters had no choice but to block and delay their escape. At this moment, Yi Xing knocked another arrow, and his killing intent shrouded the perfected masters. In an instant, a world of darkness descended and shrouded all the perfected masters. It was so dark that they could not see their own fingers. The perfected masters were horrified. They suddenly understood why Watanabe Xiong could not see Yi Xing. It turned out that Yi Xing had such a trick up his sleeve. The arrows pierced through the sky, and they turned into azure dragons, white tigers, and vermilion birds. With each arrow, a perfected master was killed. There were also perfected masters who were struck by demonic beasts in the world of darkness. In a short span of 10 breaths, more than half of the 26 perfected masters had fallen. 7 were killed by Yi Xing, and 6 were eaten by demonic beasts. Another group of perfected masters identified the direction of Dongfu Peak and fled there with all their might. They barely escaped and passed through the formation's light barrier, escaping back to the Dongfu sect. Yi Xing prioritized the perfected masters who fled to other places. Naturally, only those who fled to Dongfu Peak survived. The 13 perfected masters who fled back to Dongfu Peak were all horrified. They sized each other up, and the shock in their eyes intensified. There was not a single level 3 perfected master among the 13. Only 2 level 2 perfected masters were left, and the rest were level 1 perfected masters. Most of those who died to demonic beasts were level 1 perfected masters. Those who died to Yi Xing's arrows were either level 2 perfected masters or level 3 perfected masters. They were all killed in one shot. 14 of the 27 perfected masters had fallen, including level 4 perfected masters and level 3 perfected masters. Only 2 level 2 perfected masters were left. The remaining perfected masters were all terrified, and their hearts were trembling. Yun Zhangkong was one of the level 2 perfected masters who was fortunate enough to survive. At this moment, other than fear, there was only endless regret in his heart. Chapter 418. He's too scary. What should we do? Zhangkong Wuxia. All the 1-star enlightened masters were filled with shock and fear. The 2-star and 3-star enlightened masters of Dong Fu sect were all dead. Everyone's eyes were on the remaining 2 enlightened masters, Flying Cloud sect's Master Yun Zhangkong and Blood Spectre sect's Master Mo Yuxi. Yun Zhangkong and Mo Yuxi looked at each other and saw fear and regret in each other's eyes. The two shouted at the same time, "Use the formation and defend with all your might." However, the two flew to the other side of the Dongfu Peak at the same time. They did not believe that the Dongfu sect's formation could stop Yixing. They only hoped that the Dongfu sect could delay him for a while they escaped from the other side. Outside the Dongfu sect, under Yixing's command, the demonic beast army led by the 3-star spiritual beasts divided into 2. One on the left and one on the right, they followed the Dongfu sect's formation to surround the entire Dongfu Peak. Yun Zhangkong and Mo Yuxi, the 2-star spiritual masters, were Yixing's main targets. He spread the azure cloud wings behind him and flew outside the formation's light shield. Even if he flew in a curve, he was one step ahead of Yun Zhangkong and Mo Yuxi to reach the other side of the Dongfu Peak. Yun Zhangkong and Mo Yuxi had just rushed out of the formation's light shield when they saw Yixing suddenly appear. In an instant, they fell into a world of darkness. The arrow pierced through the air and the azure dragon roared. The azure dragon arrow style was instantly shot out. Yun Zhangkong and Mo Yuxi screamed at the same time. They did not expect Yixing to appear and disappear so mysteriously. They quickly turned and rushed toward the Dongfu Peak. Although the surroundings were shrouded in darkness, they still had a sense of direction. However, the arrow's speed was much faster than their reaction. When the two turned, the azure dragon had already pounced on Mo Yuxi and pierced through his throat. Then, the arrow turned in the air and changed direction. Almost at the same time, it pierced through Yun Zhangkong's body. Yun Zhangkong and Mo Yuxi fell from the sky one after another. In the end, the 2-stars enlightened masters both died. Seeing Yun Zhangkong and Mo Yuxi abandon the Dongfu sect and flee, several 1-star enlightened masters also lost confidence in the Dongfu sect's formation. They followed behind the two and fled. However, before they could leave, they saw Yun Zhangkong and Mo Yuxi being killed by Yixing, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. They immediately stopped and didn't dare to take another step forward. Although the Dongfu sect's formation wasn't very reliable, it seemed that whoever got out of the formation first would be the first to die. There was only one path for the martial artists on East Supporting Peak, and that was to use the array to resist Yixing and the demon beast army. The 3rd-level formation master of the Dongfu sect was still there. He was a 1-star enlightened being. He said loudly, "Don't panic, our sect's formations have been accumulated for 1,000 years. With me controlling the formation, even a 4-star enlightened being might not be able to break in. Help me transfer astral energy and I'll push the formation's power to the limit. With dozens of 3rd-level formations, it's not impossible to kill this brat." Previously, Watanabe Xiong was there. As a 4-star enlightened being, he alone was more terrifying than the Dongfu sect's dozens of 3rd-level formations. In terms of power, Watanabe Xiong's attack might be on par with the dozens of 3rd-level formations, or even slightly inferior. However, formations were dead. Although they were powerful, they couldn't be moved. On the other hand, Watanabe Xiong could move them at will. Therefore, when he saw that there weren't many 3rd-level beasts in Yixing's demon beast army, Watanabe Xiong led the enlightened beings to fight their way out of the formation. He had them restrain the 3rd-level beasts while he went after Yixing. In the end, he had misjudged Yixing's strength and lost his life. The enlightened beings were also routed and suffered heavy losses. Now, the Dongfu sect's 3rd-level formation master had become the backbone of the sect. Everyone's hopes were placed on him. The 1-star enlightened beings gathered behind the 3rd-level formation master and channeled their astral energy to him one by one, giving him an almost inexhaustible supply of astral energy. Although the strength of the 3rd-level formation master's astral energy didn't increase by much, the quantity was no less than that of a 3-star enlightened being. "Rise!" The 3rd-level formation master shouted as he pressed both hands to the ground. Astral energy swam underground, activating the formations one by one. Outside of East Support Peak, other than the light shield of the formation, there were layers upon layers of other formations. There were sword energy crisscrossing, saber light flashing, flood dragons, lions, tigers, snakes, leopards, eagles, cranes, and other ferocious beasts condensed from formation energy. They were all killing formations. In addition, there were formations of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, and other attributes, all linked together. Among them, blazing flames, surging rivers, thousands of trees were like swords, sand and pebbles flew, and golden light illuminated the sky. Dozens of third-level formations were activated one after another. The entire Dongfu Peak was impenetrable. Even a 4-star enlightened being would find it difficult to gain an advantage. However, Yixing only let the demonic beast army surround the mountain and didn't let them attack. Yixing also distanced himself from the layers of formations outside Dongfu Peak. He was at least a few li away and didn't approach. Although the formations were activated, they couldn't be moved. If Yixing didn't go forward, no matter how powerful the formations were, they couldn't touch him. In the sky, Yixing's azure cloud wings unfolded behind his back. Black Hole, Sagittarius, and Flame constellation shone in the sky. In his hand, he held the heavenly bow. Wind, fire, and darkness realm, the 3 subtle realm forces of heaven and earth were constantly activated. His aura was still maintained at peak condition. As an archery expert, Yixing didn't need to rush up and engage in close combat with the enemy. He only needed to shoot arrows from afar, and that was his strongest attack. To a formation set up with a formation base, an archery expert was simply the nemesis and could only take a beating. The 3rd-rank formation master of Dongfu sect wanted to use the formation to counterattack when Yixing led the demonic beast army to attack. But now, not a single demonic beast attacked, and only Yixing was shooting from afar. His face immediately turned ugly. He borrowed the power of several perfected masters to activate dozens of formations. It was like a person who had unleashed his power to the highest level, only to find that the distance between him and his enemy was too far, and his attack range was not enough. Everything was in vain, and all his efforts were in vain. The most important thing was that he couldn't attack the enemy, but the enemy could attack him. Facing Yixing's arrows, Dongfu sect's side could only take a beating for nothing. His arrows definitely can't break my sect's formations. With dozens of formations activated, the power erupting will definitely be able to shatter the arrows. The 3rd-rank formation master of Dongfu sect could only think of this to strengthen his confidence. Yixing pulled back the heavenly bow, but didn't rush to shoot an arrow. At this moment, his superbrain was scanning, and his eyes were looking for flaws in the dozens of formations outside Dongfu Peak. There was no such thing as a perfect formation. As long as Yixing could find the flaws in the formation, he would be able to break the dozens of layers of formations with minimal effort. Time passed by second. Yixing's delay in attacking made the martial artists on Dongfu Peak feel even more oppressed. It was as if there was a rock on their chests, and it was getting heavier by the second. The martial artists were puzzled. What was Yixing doing? The formation masters all frowned as a sliver of surprise flashed through their eyes. They obviously knew that all formations had flaws, and archers possessed far greater insight than regular people. Yixing had drawn his bow instead of shooting. Clearly, he was observing the flaws in the formation. Our sect's formations are layered upon layers, and they're all interconnected. It's impossible for him to find the flaws in the formations, unless he's a level 3 array grandmaster, but that's impossible. The 3rd-rank formation master of Dongfu sect thought to himself. After 30 breaths of time, Yixing's eyes suddenly exploded with a brilliant light. His killing intent intensified several times, and his aura skyrocketed. On the East Fulcrum Peak, the hearts of several array masters inexplicably tightened. They had a bad feeling from Yixing's gaze. It was a gaze of confidence that could see through everything. Did this mean that Yixing had really found the flaws in the formations? The worries of the array masters were quickly verified. At this moment, Yixing finally released the arrow that was already on the bow. Azure Dragon Arrow Style. The arrow morphed into an azure dragon. A 300-meter-long azure dragon traversed several kilometers in the air and slammed into the formations outside Dongfu Peak. Boom! With a loud explosion, the azure dragon plunged deep into the formations and rampaged through them. Layer after layer of formations crumbled under the dragon's assault, disappearing into nothingness. The arrow was so fast that by the time the Dongfu sect's third-rank formation master reacted, several layers of formations had already been destroyed by the Azure Dragon Arrow Style. The Level 3 Array Master roared. Immediately, more than 10 layers of array formations were activated. Sword Light, Saber Light, Fire Dragon, Water Flood Dragon. All kinds of array formations attacked the Azure Dragon. The simultaneous attack of more than 10 layers of formations was immensely powerful and scattered the Azure Dragon. The arrow's strength was exhausted and sent flying. However, at this moment, Yixing shot out his second arrow. White Tiger Arrow Style. The arrow morphed into a 300-meter-long white tiger and traversed several kilometers in the blink of an eye, charging into the layers of formations from another location. Yixing's arrow was imbued with the wind force of the arcane realm, so it was extremely fast. The moment the arrow was shot out, it had already pierced through the layers of formations. A Grade 3 Array Master would not be able to react quickly enough to block it. By the time the third-rank Formation Master reacted and activated the remaining formations to destroy the White Tiger Arrow Style, at least 4 or 5 layers of formations had been forcibly destroyed by the arrow from their weak points. The martial artists on East Boost Peak once again had looks of fright on their faces. The layers of formations didn't seem to be able to withstand Yixing's attack for long. Moreover, Yixing's attack had broken through several layers of formations. The Dongfu sect's third-rank Formation Master's counterattack had only repelled Yixing's arrow. It hadn't even touched a hair on Yixing's head. Seeing Yixing shatter layer after layer of formations outside Dongfu Peak, the cultivators on Dongfu Peak were terrified out of their wits. Chapter 419. Azure Dragon Arrow Style. White Tiger Arrow Style. Vermilion Bird Arrow Style. Yixing stood in the sky several kilometers away, firing arrow after arrow. Yixing knew the weaknesses of the Dongfu sect's formations and aimed at them with every arrow. The Dongfu sect's formations were connected layer by layer, allowing their power to increase gradually. However, once a formation was destroyed, it would cause a chain reaction. Therefore, every time Yixing shot out an arrow, several layers of formations would be broken one after another. Under Yixing's attack, even if the Dongfu sect had a level 3 formation master controlling the formation, it was futile. They could only take a beating. Seeing the formations outside Dongfu Peak dwindle one after another, the cultivators on the peak grew more and more terrified. Those with weaker mental fortitude even started wailing. Boom! Soon, the last formation was completely destroyed by Yixing's arrows. Dongfu Peak, the heart of the Dongfu sect, was completely defenseless. With a wave of Yixing's hand, 10,000 beasts roared in unison, their voices shaking the heavens. Under the lead of the third-level beasts, the monster army charged up Dongfu Peak. We surrender. We're willing to join the Fallen Star sect. Spare us, Sir Yi. We surrender. Have mercy, Sir Yi. When the monster army charged up Dongfu Peak, all the cultivators were scared witless. Their hearts trembled violently, and there was nothing left in their eyes but terror as they begged for mercy. The Fallen Star sect doesn't need traitors. In the sky several kilometers away, Yixing's voice was cold as he issued an order to the third-level beasts. Kill them all, leave no one alive. Whether it was in terms of hatred or reason, these people had to be killed. In terms of hatred, it was only natural that the Fallen Star sect would be wiped out. In terms of reason, Yixing had exposed all his trump cards today, so these people couldn't be left alive. Blood blossomed on Dongfu Peak, accompanied by endless screams. It was like hell on earth as blood flowed like rivers. Yixing was several miles away in the sky. He turned around, his back facing east supporting Peak. Although the hatred in his heart was so great that he wanted to kill the Dong Fu sect martial practitioners one by one, he still couldn't bear to do so when it came time to do so. It was one thing to want to kill, but it was another to do it with one's own hands. If Yi Xing were to personally take action and kill the defenseless Dong Fu sect cultivators in front of him, perhaps he really wouldn't be able to do it if over 1,000 people died at his hands. Therefore, Yi Xing killed his way into the Dong Fu sect and brought an army of monsters with him. In the battle, the demonic beast army did not play much of a role. Now, it was time for them to show their worth. The army of demonic beasts charged towards the Dong Fu sect. They showed no mercy, only bloodshed. As for Yi Xing, as long as he hardened his heart, a single order would be enough. On Dongfu Peak, Enlightened Being 1 star had a level 3 beast to deal with, while the rest of the martial practitioners were dealt with by level 2 beasts. The army of monsters swarmed in from all directions. Not a single martial practitioner could escape. Even the level 3 formation master with his level 3 disc couldn't stop the attacks of 3 level 3 monsters. In just a few breaths, the silver-winged condor had cut him in two. The slaughter didn't last long. Soon, the screams on Dongfu Peak ceased. The martial practitioners and monsters of the Dongfu sect were all annihilated. The reinforcements from the Flying Cloud sect, Divine Wind sect, and Blood Spectre sect were all killed. After the slaughter, Yi Xing still didn't turn around or glance at Dongfu Peak. Instead, he landed on a mountain peak and carved a line of words with his astral energy. Flying Cloud sect, Divine Wind sect, and Blood Spectre sect. If you don't disband, the Dongfu sect will be your end. The Dongfu sect was much stronger than the Flying Cloud sect, Divine Wind sect, and Blood Spectre sect, but it was still annihilated. Yi Xing's message was a threat. If the other 3 sects knew, they would most likely disband to prevent Yi Xing from making another trip. The Flying Cloud sect, Divine Wind sect, and Blood Spectre sect were different from the Dongfu sect. They didn't have any great enmity with the Fallen Star sect. When the Fallen Star sect was annihilated, the 3 sects had only sent out enlightened beings to intercept Lu Tianyuan's group. Therefore, Yi Xing only needed to disband the 3 sections. It could be considered their annihilation as revenge for the Fallen Star sect. The silver-winged condor quickly flew over and Yi Xing leaped onto its back. Behind the condor were 2 2-star enlightened beings, both scarlet-winged flying lions. The other 2 were 3-star enlightened beings, the saber-toothed saber tiger and the black-skinned bear. They ran over and stood below Yi Xing, looking up at the sky. The silver-winged condor flapped its wings and flew towards the direction of the Fallen Star sect. Behind it, the 2 scarlet-winged flying lions followed closely. On the ground, the saber-toothed saber tiger and the black-skinned bear also took large strides, crossing mountains and ridges as they followed Yi Xing. Yi Xing brought these 5 demonic beasts back to the Fallen Star sect as Sect Protector demonic beasts. Sect Protector demonic beasts had to be completely tamed. Even if Yi Xing wasn't in the Fallen Star sect, they would still listen to the orders of the Fallen Star sect's martial artists. Yi Xing could control dozens of early rank 3 demonic beasts at once, but when Yi Xing wasn't around, these dozens of rank 3 demonic beasts might go out of control. Leaving them in the sect would be a hidden danger. Therefore, Yi Xing only brought 5 demonic beasts back. He had full confidence that he could completely tame these 5 demonic beasts. The other rank 3 demonic beasts led the demonic beast army back to the Green Cloud Mountain range. There might be a large amount of storage rings and resources left behind on the Dongfu Peak, but Yi Xing wasn't interested and didn't take anything away. It wasn't that he didn't care about these resources. No matter what, the more resources the better for the Fallen Star sect's reconstruction. But in Yi Xing's heart, there was a hurdle that he couldn't cross. The reason why he massacred the Dongfu sect was because the people of the Dongfu sect had to die, and not because he wanted to steal their things. Even if the people of the Dongfu sect died, their things would be taken away by others sooner or later. Since the Dongfu sect was destroyed by Yi Xing, it was only right and reasonable for Yi Xing to take the things of the Dongfu sect. But once Yi Xing took the things of the Dongfu sect, there would be another reason for him to massacre the Dongfu sect. It was to steal their resources. Although no one saw it, Yixing knew in his heart that it wasn't to steal their resources, it was to take revenge. But this time, he massacred the Dongfu sect and killed too many people. Blood flowed like a river. Yixing needed to give himself an unassailable reason. Revenge for the sect, he had to kill them. Other than that, there couldn't be any other reason. He wasn't a bloodthirsty demon, nor was he a psychopathic murderer. He wouldn't go on a killing spree just to steal their resources. If he took the items of the Dongfu sect afterwards, he might develop an inner demon in his heart. Even if it didn't happen for the time being, it would still leave a hidden danger. Perhaps one day, Yixing would encounter an inner demon in his martial path and have such thoughts. Back then, you massacred the entire Dongfu sect because you stole their resources. Today, you can do the same. Kill them all and take their resources. Kill anyone who dares to stop you. Kill anyone who has the resources. Yixing had to put an end to any chance of his inner demons developing. His path of martial arts was to stick to his heart. He was not a saint who treated the world with kindness, nor was he a demon who treated the world with a murderous heart. Kindness had its own Tao, and killing had its own Tao. Yixing had his own Tao and his own standards in his heart. When Yixing returned to the first thing he did was tame a few demon beasts and let them guard the sect. Then Yixing placed his focus on comprehending the formation. He couldn't guard the sect all the time, and there were no other experts in the Falling Star sect except for him. Yixing knew how important formations were to the safety of the sect. The Green Cloud Venerate's array formation knowledge was in his mind. As long as Yixing focused on comprehending it, it wouldn't be long before his array formation standards would continue to rise. By the time he completely mastered the Green Cloud Venerate's array formation knowledge, he would definitely become a Level 3 array formation Grandmaster. If he could set up a Level 3 formation successfully, then even a high-level Astral Realm Sage wouldn't be able to invade the Falling Star sect. While Yixing was comprehending formations in the news of the Dongfu sect's destruction spread rapidly in the Qingyun area. Although no one knew about the massacre, the Dongfu sect was a large sect with a large number of people. Not all the martial artists happened to be in the sect. When these martial artists returned to their sects, they naturally found out about the Dongfu sect's destruction. Moreover, the Flying Cloud sect, Divine Wind sect, and Blood Spectre sect had sent 6 of their sect masters, grand elders, and inner elders to the Dongfu sect. Now that they had disappeared, the 3 sects would definitely send people to investigate. They would also find out about the Dongfu sect's destruction and Yixing's handwriting. As Yixing expected, even Watanabe Xiong was killed and the Dongfu sect was massacred. When the martial artists of the other 3 sects heard the news, they were all scared out of their wits. In the 3 sects, most of the remaining sages were 1-star sages. There were only 1 or 2 2-star sages, and none of the 3-star sages. With such strength, even without the threat of Yixing, it would be difficult for them to protect a sect. A 3-star sage's sage was enough to threaten the survival of these 3 sections. Under the discussion of Sage's Yu, the 3 sects were all disbanded. The fate of the Dongfu sect was still vivid in their minds. They didn't dare to disobey Yixing's warning. Moreover, the sages of the 3 sects were afraid of the Falling Star sect's revenge. They didn't even dare to stay in the southern part of the Green Cloud region. They either brought their disciples or juniors to the northern part of the Green Cloud region or left the Green Cloud region to explore other regions of the true Xian domain. When the news spread to the northern part of the Green Cloud region, the 4 northern sects were all shocked. They had never thought that the Dongfu sect, which had a 4-star sage's sage like Watanabe Xiong, would be wiped out by the Falling Star sect. There were no other experts except for Yixing. The destruction of the Dongfu sect was obviously directly related to Yixing. How could Yixing destroy the Dongfu sect? No one saw what happened that day. The martial artists of the 4 northern sects were all shocked and puzzled. They didn't believe that Yixing had such heaven-defying strength as a 1-star sage's sage to be able to kill a 4-star sage's sage. This was because Yixing's performance at the Young Hero competition was only that of a 3-star sage's sage. The 3-star sage's strength was still far from that of a 4-star sage's sage. Chapter 420. Most of the martial artists guessed that Yi Xing must have had someone helping him in the background to destroy the Dong Fu sect. Yi Xing was valued by Master Wu Yu of the Big Dipper sect during the Young Hero Assembly. Afterward, Master Wu Yu even met with Yi Xing. If Yi Xing had a powerful backer, it would undoubtedly be the Big Dipper sect. The Big Dipper sect was one of the 9 greater sects. It was a superior 1-star sect and was extremely powerful. If Yi Xing had the help of the Big Dipper sect, killing Wu Bianxiong, a 4-star sage, would be a piece of cake. The Sun Moon sect had the biggest reaction to the massacre of the Dong Fu sect. This was because other than the Dong Fu sect, the Falling Star sect's biggest enemy was the Sun Moon sect. The Sun Moon sect treated the disciples of the Falling Star sect as slaves and sent them to the 9 Heaven City to be sold. Yi Xing then destroyed the Sun Moon sect's hot spot in the 9 Heaven City. The Sun Moon sect naturally wanted to kill Yi Xing. However, because they guessed that Yi Xing had the help of the Big Dipper sect, the Sun Moon sect didn't dare to act rashly. Yi Xing returned to the Clear Sky region in a powerful manner. The Sun Moon sect was divided into 2 factions as to how to get along with Yi Xing. Yi Xing has the help of the Big Dipper sect. Our sect is no longer able to contend against him. We should improve our relationship with Yi Xing and resolve our hatred. The reconstruction of the Falling Star sect will definitely require a large amount of resources. Our sect should send a big gift and make peace with Yi Xing. Only then can we resolve our sect's crisis. Otherwise, from the fact that Yi Xing massacred the Dong Fu sect, he isn't a merciful person. The Sun Moon sect might learn from his mistakes. The elder led by Zhang Daohe, a 5-star sage, proposed to make peace with a gift to resolve the hatred. Yi Xing is a thief who hates our sect. How can he humiliate our Sun Moon sect with a gift? Furthermore, from the fact that Yi Xing massacred the Dong Fu sect and destroyed our sect's stronghold, he is a ruthless person. How can he truly resolve the hatred? If that's the case, he will take the opportunity to recuperate. Once his strength surpasses our sect, he will definitely make a move against us. The Dong Fu sect is our fate. The Dong Fu sect. To deal with this thief, we have to take the initiative and kill him. The Sun Moon sect's sect, a 5-star sage, Yang Ba, proposed. And Yi Xing. This generation of disciples of the Sun Moon sect was the most outstanding generation since the establishment of the Sun Moon sect. Among them, the disciples of the Sun clan were the most outstanding. Yin Yang Young Master Yang Ming, Great Sun Young Master Yang Gan, and the 3rd disciple, Yang Kuan, were all disciples of the Yang clan. Yi Xing destroyed the Sun Moon sect's stronghold in 9 Heaven City. Yang Kuan was killed by Yi Xing in front of everyone. Yang Ming's whereabouts were unknown. Yang Ming saw Yi Xing's potential and felt that the Sun Moon sect was unreliable. He had already escaped from the true Xian domain. Among the 3, only Yang Gan was said to be alive. The Yang clan's disciples had suffered heavy losses. As the leader of the Yang clan, how could Yang Ba tolerate this? Of course, he proposed to kill Yi Xing. The Yang clan was the biggest clan in the Sun Moon sect. They had a large number of people. Yang Ba proposed to kill Yi Xing. He received the support of most of the elders and had the upper hand. In the Sun Moon sect, the Grand Elder, In Hongdan, was roaming outside. Within the sect master In Wudao, Grand Guardian Zhang Daohe, and Yang Ba, the 3 5-star sages, had the highest positions. Now, Zhang Daohe proposed to sue for peace, while Yang Ba wanted to kill him. This put the sect master In Wudao in a difficult position. Because of the strength of the Heavenly Dipper sect, In Wudao, like Zhang Daohe, wanted to sue for peace. However, there were too many elders supporting Yang Ba. In Wudao couldn't make up his mind. He could only let Zhang Daohe and Yang Ba decide who would win first. Zhang Daohe said, Yi Xing has the help of the Heavenly Dipper sect. How can we do anything to him? If we kill him, the hatred will intensify and there will be no way to resolve it. The Sun Moon sect will follow in the footsteps of the Dong Fu sect. Yang Ba said, I've already said it clearly. Yi Xing won't resolve the hatred sincerely. If we sue for peace, it will give him time to bury himself. The Sun Moon sect will follow in the footsteps of the Dongfu sect. Zhang Dao has said, but we can't kill him now. You should know what kind of sect the Heavenly Dipper sect is. Yang Ba said, of course I know. However, Yi Xing isn't from the Heavenly Dipper sect. Moreover, the Sun Moon sect isn't comparable to the Dongfu sect. It's one of the most powerful forces in the Qingyun region. If the Heavenly Dipper sect dares to destroy the Sun Moon sect, it will definitely attract the hatred of all the one-star medium sects in the true Xian region. The Heavenly Dipper sect has to weigh the consequences and see if it's worth it. I will kill Yi Xing with lightning speed. The Heavenly Dipper sect is interested in Yi Xing's potential. If Yi Xing dies, will the Heavenly Dipper sect go against the sect for a dead person? If the Heavenly Dipper sect wants to avenge Yi Xing and ask for an explanation from the Heavenly Dipper sect, I will apologize with my life so that the Heavenly Dipper sect won't have a reason to go against the sect. Hearing Yang Ba's words, Zhang Daohe was speechless. Yin Wudao stood up and cupped his fists towards Yang Ba. For the sake of the sect, Protector Yang is willing to give up his life. You are truly a role model for our sect. What else can I say? I can only help Protector Yang succeed. Yang Ba said, speed is the most important thing in war. I will move now. Before the Heavenly Dipper sect can react, I will kill Yi Xing with lightning speed. Yin Wudao sent 2 4-star sage to accompany Yang Ba to the south of the Qingyun region to kill Yi Xing, south of the Qingyun mountain range, outside the Falling Star sect. Boom 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 boom, the sound of explosions shook the heavens. The supreme guardian of the Sun Moon sect, Yang Ba, and the sect leader of the Tianluo sect, Luo Zhan, were fighting fiercely. Although the 2 3-star sages of the Tianluo sect had followed the group of Falling Star sect disciples and hadn't returned yet, they had already sent someone to pass on the news. Luo Zhan had already thought highly of Yi Xing during the 10 sects competition. After learning about Yi Xing's performance at the Young Hero competition, he had a whole new level of respect for Yi Xing. He had made Yi Xing his most important ally. After hearing that the Dongfu sect had been destroyed, Luo Zhan had prepared a big gift and brought people to the Falling Star sect immediately. He had arrived earlier than the people of the Sun Moon sect. When the people of the Sun Moon sect arrived, Luo Zhan naturally stood up for Yi Xing and fought against Yang Ba. The 2 5-star sages fought fiercely. As soon as they attacked, the astral light shot out more than 1,000 feet. The ground cracked instantly and some small mountains were directly cut in half. Yang Ba had used an upper-class spiritual martial art, the burning saber technique. The saber aura was shocking. Each saber carried with it scorching flames. The saber aura shot out more than 1,000 feet and shook the heavens and the earth. Luo Zhan had also used an upper-class spiritual martial art, the heavenly net palm. Luo Zhan had used an upper-class spiritual weapon. Each of his palms was 1,000 feet large palm print that had the power to pull up a mountain. The palm print was ever-changing. No matter how strong the saber aura was, it was defeated by the 1,000 feet large palm print. Today, Yang Ba had come to kill Yi Xing. He was risking his life. Whether it was astral energy, astrology, martial arts, or the power of the general, he had used all of them to the limit. However, in terms of cultivation, Yang Ba was inferior. He was at the middle stage of the 5th-star realm, while Luo Zhan was at the peak of the 5th-star realm. Yang Ba was only the 3rd most powerful person in the Sun Moon sect, while Luo Zhan was the most powerful person in the Tianluo sect. Even though Yang Ba was almost risking his life, he was getting weaker and weaker in front of Luo Zhan. The heavenly net palm print in Luo Zhan's hands had the power to hit the stars and catch the moon. In the end, Yang Ba was forced to retreat. Yang Ba, who was retreating, roared, "Luo Zhan! This brat has nothing to do with you. Why do you insist on standing up for him? If I don't kill this brat today, I'm not a man. Do you want me to burn my astral energy and perish with you?" Luo Zhan was unmoved. He was still in a fierce battle. He smiled and said, "Perish with me? You can try." After a few moves, Yang Ba, who was retreating, did not burn his astral energy. Instead, he borrowed the strength of Luo Zhan's palms to escape. The 4 celestial enlightened masters from the Sun-Moon sect immediately followed. Yang Ba's target was Yi Xing. If he burned his astral energy, the most he could do was perish together with Luo Zhan. However, Yi Xing was still alive. The threat of the Sun-Moon sect was still there. Naturally, he could not sacrifice himself for nothing. Luo Zhan's goal was to prevent Yang Ba from killing Yi Xing. Since Yang Ba had escaped, he naturally did not pursue him. Looking at Yang Ba's retreating figure, Luo Zhan said loudly, "Yang Ba, from today on, I will guard the Falling Star sect until the experts of the Tiangang sect arrive." "You want to kill Yi Xing? Dream on." Dozens of miles away, Yang Ba stopped. His eyes were full of unwillingness and indignation. The 4 celestial enlightened masters quickly caught up. One of them said, "Lord Protector, the Falling Star sect has another stronghold. Since Luo Zhan is here to protect Yi Xing, should we go and destroy the other stronghold?" The other 4 celestial enlightened masters said, "That's right. The 2 places are too far apart. It's impossible for them to help each other. Yi Xing is a coward. Let's destroy the other stronghold and see if he will come out." Yang Ba looked in the direction of the Falling Star sect. He let out a long sigh and shook his head. If Yi Xing is dead, it doesn't matter if he kills everyone in the Falling Star sect. But if he's not dead, don't spread the hatred. This guy is ruthless. If he kills one more person from the Falling Star sect today, he will definitely receive double the revenge. It's not good for our sect. A 4 celestial enlightened master asked, "Then what should we do?" Yang Ba turned his eyes and said, "You guys go back. I'll stay. I don't believe that Yi Xing won't leave the sect alone. I'll find a chance to kill him." In the Yi Xing thanked Luo Zhan. "Thank you for your help, sect leader Luo." Although Yi Xing could escape with the azure cloud wings after Yang Ba broke the formation of the Yang Ba could not threaten Yi Xing's life. However, Yi Xing was very grateful for Luo Zhan's help. He had already rearranged the formation of the Falling Star sect. He did not want to be attacked a second time. Luo Zhan laughed and said, "You're welcome. Yi Xing, my little friend, I knew you were extraordinary back in the 10 sects tournament." "Ha, I was right. How long has it been? You've already made such achievements. In the future, the entire Qingyun region will be your world." "Ha." Yi Xing smiled and said, "The Qingyun region is too small." Luo Zhan said, "I know your ambition. Maybe the true Shen domain is too small in your eyes. If you can make a name for yourself in the true Shen domain or other regions, it will be the glory of the Qingyun region. I believe that it won't be long before I see it." Ha. Chapter 421. With Luo Zhan guarding the Falling Star sect and Yi Xing comprehending the formations in the Yang Ba didn't have the chance to kill Yi Xing even though he was secretly eyeing him. Day by day, Yi Xing's mastery of formations improved by leaps and bounds. A month later, Yi Xing's mastery of formations improved by a level. He became a level 3 formation grandmaster and comprehended level 3 formations to the minor accomplishment realm. Twin dragons emerging from water formation. Yin-Yang fire snake formation. Triple cloud dragon formation. Yin-Yang golden light formation. Yi Xing set up 4 level 3 formations outside Theon defensive formation, Yin-Yang golden light formation, 1 psychedelic formation, triple cloud dragon formation, and 2 offensive formations, twin dragons emerging from water formation and Yin-Yang fire snake formation. With level 3 formations at the minor accomplishment realm, even a mid-level perfected one wouldn't be able to break into the Falling Star sect. With Luo Zhan accompanying him, Yi Xing left the Falling Star sect and went to the Star Crystal Mine. Due to the lack of materials for the formations, Yi Xing only set up a Yin-Yang golden light formation at the Star Crystal Mine. It was enough to block a mid-level perfected one's attack for a long time. Yi Xing was relieved that the formations at the Falling Star sect and the Star Crystal Mine had improved by a level. He should focus on his martial arts cultivation now. After returning to the Luo Zhan didn't need to protect them anymore because they had level 3 formations at the minor accomplishment realm. Luo Zhan bid farewell to Yi Xing and returned to the Tian Luo sect. One day, Yi Xing went to the Falling Star Valley and took out the Stellar Token. With the Stellar Token, Yi Xing could enter the Stellar Hall. He could also go through a trial in the Astral Realm. Of course, he couldn't miss this opportunity. Yi Xing activated the Stellar Token and was quickly transported to the first level of the Stellar Hall. You're back? Yi Xing, you reached the Astral Realm earlier than I expected. As soon as Yi Xing entered the Stellar Hall, Mr. Pimp's voice entered his ears. Yi Xing didn't see Mr. Pimp, but he still bowed respectfully. The voice of the tortoise continued, there are still 4 levels to the Enlightened Person Realms trial. There are no rewards for the first and second levels. The reward for the third level is the low-grade Mystic Rank Falling Star Art and a top-grade Spirit Weapon. The reward for the fourth level is the mid-grade Mystic Rank Falling Star Art and a top-grade Spirit Pill. Let's begin. It was Yi Xing's first time entering the Star Palace. Every time he reached a new floor, the pimp would tell him the rewards and grades of that floor. Now that the pimp was familiar with Yi Xing, he directly told him all the rewards for the 4th floor. As soon as the tortoise finished speaking, a trial target with the same cultivation level as Yi Xing appeared in front of him. Flaming Dipper Fist. Yi Xing took a step forward and punched out. The flaming fist arrived in front of the trial target. Facing an opponent of the same level, Yi Xing's punch was enough. The trial target was blasted apart by Yi Xing's punch, and the first trial was passed. The staircase leading to the second floor appeared, and Yi Xing arrived at the second floor. The trial target of the second floor was a 2-star Enlightened Person, 1 level higher than Yi Xing. Flaming Dipper Fist, Tiger Roar and Dragon Roar. Yi Xing punched again, but this time, he used the ultimate move of the Flaming Dipper Fist. The trial target of the second floor was also blasted apart. Soon, Yi Xing arrived at the 3rd floor. The trial target was a 3-star Enlightened Person, 2 levels higher than Yi Xing. A ray of starlight rushed out from between Yi Xing's eyebrows and turned into the Sagittarius constellation. Yi Xing took out the startling sky bow and the purple gold arrow at the same time. Yi Xing remembered clearly that the results of the trial on the 3rd floor were the same as the 1st and 2nd floors. It was divided into 7 levels. Defeating the enemy in one move would give the highest reward, the 7th level. Azure Dragon Arrow Style. Whoosh! The arrow shot out explosively and transformed into a huge azure dragon. Yi Xing's attainments in archery were extremely high, and his archery skills had reached perfection. Under the Sagittarius constellation, he could kill a 4-star Enlightened Person. The trial target was a 3-star Enlightened Person, so naturally he would be killed with 1 arrow. Very good. You have perfectly passed the 3rd floor. The reward is a complete low-grade profound level Falling Star Incantation and a supreme grade Spirit Weapon. What kind of weapon do you need? The voice of Mr. Pimp resounded, and a ball of resplendent light appeared above Yi Xing, rushing into Yi Xing's mind. The low-grade profound level Falling Star Incantation Inheritance appeared in Yi Xing's mind. A low-grade profound level martial incantation inheritance was enough to cultivate to the mid-astral reaching realm and become a venerable. This kind of martial incantation inheritance was not available in the entire True Xian region. If people knew about it, there would definitely be a large number of martial arts forces fighting to the death. This was a priceless treasure. Although a supreme grade spirit weapon was also a top treasure in the True Xian region, it was nothing compared to the low-grade profound level Falling Star Incantation. Yi Xing thought for a moment and said, Bow Type Weapon. Supreme Grade Spirit Weapon, Big Dipper Bow. Mr. Pimp's voice resounded, and a bright light flashed in front of Yi Xing. Suddenly, a resplendent bow appeared. There were 7 gems embedded on the bow, shining with resplendent light, like 7 stars. These 7 gems are metal ores of different attributes. They contain extremely powerful star power. When using the Big Dipper bow, there is no need for a bow and arrow. The metal chi contained in the 7 gems will automatically condense into a Big Dipper arrow. Mr. Pimp's voice resounded in Yi Xing's ears. Yi Xing took the Big Dipper bow in his hand, and his palm touched the 7 gems as he loudly praised, Good bow. It's really a good bow. The Big Dipper bow was quite heavy in his hand. Even with Yi Xing's strength, he felt that it was heavy. Open! Yi Xing shouted and tried to draw the Big Dipper bow. However, Yi Xing circulated his star energy, and his physical strength exploded to the limit. He used all his strength, but he only managed to draw the bowstring slightly. The bow did not move at all. With Yi Xing's current strength, he could not draw the Big Dipper bow at all. The Big Dipper bow was a supreme grade spirit bow. Once it was drawn, it could kill at least a 6-star sage, or even a 7-star sage. Of course, Yi Xing could not draw it. Hee. It's still too early for you to draw the Big Dipper bow. This is the best supreme grade spirit bow. When the bowstring is fully drawn, it can kill a 9-star sage. Mr. Pimp's voice resounded, and it shocked Yi Xing. The Big Dipper bow was more terrifying than he had imagined. When the bowstring was fully drawn, it could kill a 9-star sage, and a 9-star sage was already the person with the highest cultivation. In other words, as long as Yi Xing could draw the Big Dipper bow into a full moon, he could kill any martial artist in the true Shen domain. The power of the Big Dipper bow was evident. Yi Xing played with the Big Dipper bow for a while. After 10 breaths, he put it away and went up the stairs to the 4th level. On the 4th level, Yi Xing finally saw Mr. Pimp. He had already turned into his human form. He was a wretched little old man. Yi Xing went forward and greeted him. Mr. Pimp looked at Yi Xing with admiration and said, "With your archery realm, archery skills, and the Sagittarius constellation, passing the trial on the 4th level will be a piece of cake. When do you want to start the trial?" Yi Xing put on the blazing flame gloves and said, "Now." Mr. Pimp took a few steps and left. Then, a light flashed in front of him, and the trial target appeared. It was a 4-star sage. On the last day of the month, please clear your monthly tickets. Chapter 422. A 4-star true master was 3 boundaries higher than Yi Xing. But Yi Xing didn't fear this at all. He had the heaven-startling bow in hand. With his attainments in archery, as well as the might of the Sagittarius constellation, he could definitely kill his target. Dongfu sect master Watanabe Xiong was a 4-star true master. He had died beneath Yi Xing's arrow. But Yi Xing didn't take out the heaven-startling bow. Instead, he took out a high-grade spirit weapon, the Black Dragon Spear. In that instant, Yi Xing used the Black Hole constellation. A beam of starlight shot out from between his eyebrows, turning into a giant black hole vortex that hung high in the air. All around, everything was shrouded in darkness. It was so dark that one couldn't even see their own fingers. However, Yi Xing's perception in this world of darkness was much stronger than his vision. It was like a superbrain scanning the surroundings. Even the smallest changes in his surroundings were clearly seen by Yi Xing. Then, the flame constellation also rose into the sky. But it couldn't shake the position of the black hole vortex. It remained in a corner of the sky. Yi Xing used the black hole constellation and flame constellation at the same time. The Black Dragon Spear point bloomed with a sun-like brilliance, burning with a dazzling white flame. In this world of darkness, it was extremely eye-catching. Yi Xing displayed the starting stance of the high-grade spirit weapon, Sunflame Spear Art. He didn't want to kill his trial target with just a few arrows. Rather, he wanted to engage in a frontal battle with his trial target and temper his martial arts attainments. Sunflame Spear Art was a fire attribute spear art gifted to him by esteemed Wuyu. Yi Xing had only practiced it with his superbrain. Although he was skilled in it, he hadn't experienced actual combat and hadn't comprehended the Sunflame Spear Art's Tao. Thus, his attainments could only be considered at the entry level. What Yi Xing lacked was the comprehension of actual combat. In any case, the 4th level didn't care about time, only victory or defeat. As long as Yi Xing defeated his trial target in the end, he could use the trial target as a practice target midway through. Fire attribute martial arts couldn't perfectly fuse with the world of darkness created by the black hole constellation. The blazing flames on the spear point were extremely conspicuous in this world of darkness. Although the target of the smelting trial was in the world of darkness, It immediately discovered the dazzling white flames on the black dragon spear point. From afar, it pointed towards Yixing. As soon as the trial target made his move, Yixing felt a strong gust of wind blowing against his face. At the same time, his dark sense also captured a terrifying finger aura, which exploded in front of him as the trial target raised his hand. He's even stronger than Watanabe Yu. As soon as the trial target attacked, Yixing immediately made a judgment in his heart. Watanabe Xiong had long surpassed the golden period of cultivation. He had used external factors to forcefully raise his cultivation to Astral Star Realm Stage 4. Such a 4-star Taoist master was the weakest in the same realm. As for the goal of the trial, even if it couldn't be considered the strongest within the same realm, it would still be above average in strength. The momentum of the wind. Heavenly bat steps. Yixing's figure flashed, instantly vanishing from sight. Yixing's Sunflame spear art was only at the entry level. It was difficult for him to directly contend with a 4-star Taoist master. Yixing had to use his own advantages to fight the trial target. A resplendent spear aura instantly cut through the pitch-black space. It bloomed with the light of flames and instantly pierced towards the trial target. Yixing dodged his opponent's attack and immediately launched a counterattack. The Sunflame spear art had a total of 81 basic spear moves and 3 finishing moves: Burning Annihilation, Chasing Sun, and Flame Explosion. These 3 finishing moves corresponded to the 3 attainments of the spear art: Small Success, Large Success, and Perfection. Each move was fiercer than the last. Yixing's current Sunflame spear art was only at the entry level. He could only use the 81 basic spear moves. Their strength was limited. Even if he had the power of the fire constellation and the momentum of the fire, compared to the power of the trial target, it was still slightly inferior. He could only use his speed and perception to fight the trial target. Currently, Yixing's understanding of the wind had already reached a very high level in the minute subtlety realm. Coupled with the superb heavenly bat movement technique, his speed was indeed like a ghost, extremely fast. Even a 4-star sage was inferior to him. The trial target opened his 5 fingers and shot out a finger aura. He pressed down with his palm and a giant handprint fell down. He clenched his 5 fingers and a fist aura immediately shot out. Finger, palm, and fist techniques were all upper-tier spiritual martial arts. They were all at a high level and were close to the large success stage. It could be seen that the trial target's hand techniques were extraordinary. Fortunately, the trial target's movement technique wasn't as high as his martial arts attainment, so Yixing was able to rely on his incomparably fast speed and super perception to be able to see all the changes in his surroundings to be on par with the trial target. Yixing had already practiced the Sunflame spear art in the Superbrain simulation. He was very familiar with it and there were no mistakes. Now, in the fierce battle, Yixing's comprehension was superb. He quickly understood the Tao of the Sunflame spear art. He was improving with every passing moment. In just 3 days, Yixing had practiced the Sunflame spear art to the small success stage. Another 10 days later, the Sunflame spear art had reached another level and reached the large success stage. In less than half a month, the power of Yixing's Sunflame spear art had a tremendous change. After reaching the large success stage, Yixing no longer used his movement techniques to dodge. Instead, he clashed with the trial target directly. Giant Palm Seal. The trial target condensed astral stars in his hands and pressed down on Yixing immediately. 2 giant palm seals came crashing down from the skies, one in front and one behind. As the 2 palm seals overlapped, the power behind them was horrifying. Before the Sunflame spear art had broken through to the large success stage, Yixing only had a single method to face such an attack. That was to rely on his speed to dodge and escape the range of the palm seals. But now, Yixing didn't retreat. Instead, he advanced. The black dragon spear in his hands erupted with blazing flames as he counterattacked. Sunflame's spear art, Burning Annihilation. At this moment, the black dragon spear point was like a volcanic eruption. Endless flames surged out, the power of these flames horrifying. Bang! the Black Dragon Spear brought with it an incomparably terrifying flame momentum. It smashed apart the two giant palm seals. The trial target's body shook. In that instant, the 5 fingers of his left hand opened and 5 astral fingers shot out. The 5 fingers of his right hand clenched and a fist came crashing down. Both sides drew their bows at the same time, displaying 2 different types of martial arts. With this combination, the trial target's strength suddenly rose by a great deal. However, just as the trial target's body shook, Yixing's spear was already a step ahead of him. Sunflame Spear Art, Chasing Sun. As this spear thrust out, all that was left in the void was a dazzling white beam of light. The trial target's martial arts had just been displayed when Yixing's Black Dragon Spear pierced through the trial target's head with a terrifying strength, instantly blowing it apart. The trial target vanished from sight. The attack it sent out also vanished at this moment. Star Hall's 4th level, the trial had been successfully completed. Yixing put away the Black Dragon Spear, a satisfied smile on his face. The Sunflame Spear Art was not a darkness attribute martial art and was unable to perfectly fuse with the Black Hole Astral Avatar. But with the Black Hole Astral Avatar and Fire Astral Avatar revolving at the same time, Yixing didn't need to rely on a bow and arrow to kill a 4-star sage. The strength of an arrow was not only related to one's attainments in archery, but also the strength of the bow. As Yixing's cultivation increased and the grade of the bow remained the same, the strength of the arrow was limited. However, the power of Yixing's martial arts had improved greatly as his cultivation base increased. When Yixing was a 1-star sage, he had used the heaven-startling bow. His strength in archery was much higher than his strength in martial arts. If Yixing used the Sunflame Spear Art, he might not be able to do anything to a peak 4-star sage. But if he used archery, he could kill any 4-star sage. However, once Yixing's cultivation broke through to the 2nd level of the astral realm, then the growth of his martial arts strength would be greater than the growth of his archery strength. At this boundary, his archery strength might not have too great of an advantage. If Yixing's cultivation broke through to the 3rd level of the astral realm, then his martial arts strength might surpass his archery strength. After becoming a 4-star sage, the disparity between them would be even greater. Of course, this was only if the grade of Yixing's bow didn't change. If Yixing could draw the Big Dipper bow, then his strength in archery would far surpass his strength in martial arts. He could even kill a 7th-level astral realm master. After Yixing completed the trial, Duke Pimp arrived at Yixing's side and said, "Very good, you've completed the 4th level. You have obtained the complete reward of the medium-grade profound level Falling Star Art as well as a top-grade spirit pill, the Jade Star Pill." A ball of light appeared above Yixing's head and entered his brain. Soon, some information appeared in his mind. Yixing was secretly shocked. The medium-grade profound level Falling Star Art, and a complete one at that, probably didn't exist in the entire East Divine Continent. According to Yixing's knowledge, there were only 3 high-rank empires in the East Divine Continent that possessed the medium-grade profound level cultivation technique. However, these 3 high-rank empires couldn't compare to any of the 12 empires under the direct jurisdiction of the Great Yuan dynasty. The 12 empires in the Middle Sky Continent were the true peak 2-star forces that possessed the complete medium-grade profound level cultivation technique inheritance. It could be seen that the 3 high-rank empires in the East Divine Continent didn't necessarily possess the complete medium-grade profound level cultivation technique inheritance. Then, it could be seen how precious the medium-grade profound level Falling Star Art in Yixing's hands was. Who would have thought that the Falling Star sect in the remote true mystic domain of the East Divine Continent would possess such a heaven-defying treasure? If someone knew about it, it would cause a life-and-death battle between all the martial forces in the East Divine Continent. Since the Falling Star's secret realm had fallen from the sky, it obviously contained a shocking secret. Other than the medium-grade profound level Falling Star Art, Yixing also obtained the supreme-grade spirit pill, the Jade Star Pill. Yixing was very familiar with the Jade Star Pill. When he completed the 4th level of the Star Hall in the Star Vortex realm, he also obtained one. It was a peerless spirit pill that could strengthen the physical body. The one he obtained previously was a high-grade spirit pill. With the high-grade Jade Star pill, not only did Yi Xing's physical body strengthen to the point that it was stronger than a 1-star enlightened master, the surging star energy within the pill also raised his cultivation by a level. The efficacy of the supreme-grade Jade Star pill was more than 10 times higher than that of the high-grade Jade Star pill. Yi Xing was delighted. It seemed that his physical body's strength had another great leap. Moreover, his cultivation had already reached the peak of the first level of the astral realm. With the help of the supreme-grade Jade Star pill, he should be able to break through to the 2nd-star enlightened master. Chapter 423. After Yi Xing consumed the supreme-grade Jade Star pellet, a warm current gushed out from his body, and his body gradually grew stronger. Yi Xing was about to undergo another round of cleansing, shedding his mortal body and strengthening it. Yi Xing only used 4 hours to completely absorb the high-grade Jade Star pellet. Now, Yi Xing's cultivation was no longer the same as before, and the speed at which he absorbed the pellet was much faster than before. However, it still took Yi Xing nearly an entire day to completely absorb the supreme-grade Jade Star pellet. Yi Xing's body was covered with a layer of black cocoon. This was the impurities and toxins that were expelled from his body through his pores when he absorbed the supreme-grade Jade Star pellet. From the outside, Yi Xing looked pitch black and dirty, but the flesh and blood inside Yi Xing's body was clean, without the slightest impurity. Moreover, Yi Xing's blood was like mercury, flowing like a river. Yi Xing's bones were like diamonds and white jade, untainted by even a speck of dust, sparkling and translucent, and incomparably sturdy. His meridians and skin were as sturdy as a shield when he exerted his strength. His entire body seemed to be made of steel, filled with power. Yi Xing was both surprised and happy when he sensed the power in his body. The strengthening of his physique this time was better than he had imagined. According to his understanding of beginner enlightened masters, he could probably crush beginner enlightened masters with just the strength of his body. Yi Xing was confident that he could even fight a 4-star enlightened master with the strength of his body. In fact, if Yi Xing used his martial arts, crushing a 4-star enlightened master would be as easy as flipping his hand. The benefits that the supreme-grade Jade Star pellet brought to Yi Xing were far more than that. Yi Xing's cultivation also naturally broke through to the 2nd level of the astral realm, becoming a 2-star sage. Moreover, he had already consolidated to the middle level of the 2nd level, and was not far from the late level. This would greatly shorten Yi Xing's cultivation time in the 2nd level of the astral realm. Yi Xing's body trembled as a terrifying force erupted from within him. With a violent tremble, the black patch on his body, along with his clothes, was instantly reduced to dust, disappearing without a trace after being swept away by the chi force. Yi Xing's body glowed faintly, as if he was a precious gem. The muscles on his body were neither too much nor too little. They were streamlined and perfect, giving off a sense of strength and beauty. If a woman was here and saw Yi Xing's body, she would probably scream. Yi Xing waved his hand and took out a set of clothes from the storage ring. He put them on and stood up with a big smile on his face. This time, he had gained a lot from entering the Star Palace. Whether it was cultivation, spirit weapons, or martial arts inheritance, Yi Xing was completely satisfied. It had already been half a month since he entered the Star Palace. Although the Falling Star sect and the Star Crystal Mine were both protected by a small success level 3 formation, Yi Xing was still somewhat worried. He had too many enemies, and was afraid that a powerful enemy would come to the Falling Star sect for revenge. Yi Xing bowed to the tortoise and said, "Tortoise, disciple is leaving." The tortoise nodded. Yi Xing had passed the Astral Realms trial, which made the tortoise value him even more. The tortoise said, "Your martial arts inheritance is enough for you to cultivate to the limit of the astral reaching realm. Wait until you become an astral reaching realm venerable, then you can enter the Venerable Realms trial. Cultivate well." Through the Star Medallion, Yi Xing left the Star Palace and appeared outside the Falling Star Valley. He inspected the Falling Star sect and found that there was no damage. There was also no bad news from the Star Crystal Mine. It had already been 2 months since Yi Xing returned from the Nine Sky City. The Falling Star sect's disciples should arrive in 8 to 10 days. At that time, the Falling Star sect would be considered to have been truly rebuilt. While waiting for the Falling Star sect's disciples to return, Yi Xing didn't stay idle. He used a large amount of mid-grade star crystals to set up a small success level 3 spirit gathering formation, and then cultivated the upper-grade Falling Star incantation. A huge amount of star power was absorbed into Yi Xing's body. Yi Xing had become a 2-star sage, and his attainment in the upper-grade Falling Star incantation had increased extremely quickly. 3 days later, Yi Xing's upper-grade Falling Star incantation had reached the 7th layer, the highest realm. Then Yi Xing converted his astral energy and continued to cultivate the supreme-grade Falling Star incantation. The 7th layer of the upper-grade Falling Star incantation had been converted into the 3rd layer of the supreme-grade Falling Star incantation. Although it was a conversion of the same level, Yi Xing's astral energy had also increased by a level, increasing his strength once again. Ordinary 2-star sages didn't have high attainments in the upper-grade spirit realm martial arts inheritance. Among the 7 layers of the upper-grade Falling Star incantation, being able to reach the 3rd layer was already not bad. Those who could reach the 4th or 5th layer were geniuses. As for Yi Xing, he had the super brain to scan his body and correct any errors in his cultivation. It was better than being personally taught by a master. Naturally, his cultivation method inheritance was far superior to ordinary people. Even the most monstrous of geniuses couldn't compare to Yi Xing. In the 2-star sage realm, other martial artists' cultivation method inheritances were only at the 3rd or 4th layer of the upper-grade spirit realm. However, Yi Xing's cultivation method inheritance was at the 3rd layer of the supreme-grade spirit realm. Cultivating for the same amount of time, Yi Xing had obtained much more star power than other martial artists. From this, it could be seen that Yi Xing's cultivation speed was much faster than other martial artists. Even geniuses with extremely high heavenly fate aptitudes couldn't compare to him. The only thing that could stop Yi Xing from advancing so quickly on the path of martial arts was that he was restricted by the heavenly fate. Yi Xing's heavenly fate was devoured from young Master Watanabe. With a 3-star yellow fate, he could naturally cultivate to the 3-star sage realm. After that, although he could still cultivate, his cultivation speed would be greatly reduced due to the restriction of the heavenly fate. Even if he could break through the restriction of the heavenly fate, he wouldn't be able to go too far. Now that I'm already a 2-star sage, I'll reach the limit of the 3-star yellow fate if I want to increase my cultivation speed. I have to continue devouring higher heavenly fates if I want to maintain my cultivation speed. Yi Xing thought to himself. On this day, Yi Xing put away the level 3 spirit gathering array. Cultivating in the astral realm was extremely difficult. Yi Xing's cultivation speed was much faster than other martial artists. It would take a long time for him to break through from the 2-star sage realm to the 3-star sage realm. Therefore, he wasn't in a hurry to cultivate the supreme-grade Falling Star incantation. Yi Xing was preparing to cultivate the archery technique he got from Qi Zhuo's storage ring, the Flame Arrow incantation. The Flame Arrow incantation was an upper-grade spiritual martial art, which was 1 grade higher than the 4 symbols arrow incantation. Yi Xing's 4 symbols arrow incantation had already reached the transformation stage, which was the limit. If he wanted to reach a higher level in archery, he had to cultivate a more powerful archery technique. The Flame Arrow incantation was a must. Yi Xing's sky bow had a shooting range of at least 10 miles, which required a large space. The Falling Star sect wasn't suitable. Behind there was a mountain range that stretched for hundreds of miles. There was a small basin that was less than 100 miles away from the Falling Star sect. It was a suitable place to practice archery. On this day, Yi Xing left the Falling Star sect and headed to the small basin behind the mountain. Yang Ba, who had been lurking outside the Falling Star sect and waiting for Yi Xing to leave, finally waited for the day that Yi Xing left the Falling Star sect. "Little bastard, I thought you were hiding in the sect's formation and not coming out. Humph. You're finally willing to show up. Today, I'm going to let you die without a burial place. Yang Ba thought to himself. With the help of the mountain range, he followed Yi Xing from a distance. Yi Xing was very fast. If he was too close to the Falling Star sect would probably escape back into the Falling Star sect as soon as Yang Ba attacked. Therefore, Yang Ba followed from a distance and didn't rush forward. Instead, he wanted to wait until Yi Xing was far away from the Falling Star sect. When he was confident that he could kill Yi Xing before Yi Xing escaped back to he would come out. He had been waiting outside the Falling Star sect for a long time. He had enough patience and wasn't in a hurry. After Yi Xing left he didn't stop and came to the small basin that was about 100 miles away from the back mountain. After arriving, Yi Xing didn't rush to make arrows. Instead, he turned around and shouted to a mountain in the distance, "How long do you want to follow me sneakily? Come out." 7 or 8 miles away, on a big tree with lush branches and leaves, Yang Ba was shocked. He followed Yi Xing from a distance and thought that Yi Xing didn't know about it at all. Unexpectedly, Yi Xing had discovered him long ago. Although he was a little surprised that Yi Xing could discover him, Yi Xing was now alone. Yang Ba wasn't afraid of Yi Xing's conspiracy. Instead, he wanted to seize this opportunity to kill Yi Xing. Yang Ba jumped up from the big tree and the astral wings appeared. He glided to the top of a mountain in front of Yi Xing. Yang Ba looked down at Yi Xing from above and said, "Little brat, your alertness is quite extraordinary. You can actually discover me following you. But so what? You won't be able to escape from my palm today." Yang Ba's eyes were fierce. He grabbed the air and squeezed hard as if Yi Xing was really in his palm. He wanted to crush Yi Xing into pieces. Yi Xing stared at Yang Ba from afar, the corner of his mouth slightly raised as he said, "Only a 4-star yellow fate. Your fate is really trash, but it's still better than Watanabe Shin's. I'll reluctantly use it." Even though Yi Xing's fate was only a 2-star red fate, his black hole could devour the fate of others. As a result, Yi Xing stood at the peak of fate. Therefore, in Yi Xing's eyes, a 4-star yellow fate was only trash fate. Yi Xing had the ambition to become a king, a man who stood at the peak of the martial path in the star continent. His fate was at least a king's fate. According to his knowledge, fate was divided into 5 grades: red, orange, yellow, green, and azure. A red fate was an ordinary fate. An orange fate was a martial saint fate. A yellow fate was a enlightened master fate. A green fate was a venerable fate. A cyan fate was a king's fate. As for whether there were blue or purple fate beasts, Yi Xing had never heard of them, so he had no idea. In short, if he wanted to become a king, he needed a cyan fate. If it wasn't enough, the difficulty would increase greatly. Therefore, in Yi Xing's eyes, even a venerable fate was nothing. Only a king's fate was his goal. However, the path had to be taken 1 step at a time, and the meal had to be eaten 1 bite at a time. The king's mandate was only his ultimate goal. Before reaching his ultimate goal, no matter what kind of mandate it was, as long as it was beneficial to him, he would devour it. A 4-star yellow fate was only 1 star higher than a 3-star yellow fate. Yi Xing didn't mind. Black May is over. I will work hard in June. The first day of June. I wish all my brothers and sisters a happy holiday. Guaranteed monthly votes. Can I cast one? Thank you. You're tuning in to the Wandering Hero YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.